down to when we're gonna start streaming. Okay, you guys ready?
I'm nervous.
Yep.
Alex, you ready?
Ah.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, then. So we're ready?
Yeah.
We're live. All right. Welcome to the Future Gadget Labs podcast. I'm your host, call me Lobo. I'll introduce now my cohorts on this. We have our founder and, lunatic. We have Leroy.
Hello.
Then we have, if you're a fan of Stein Gates, you should understand two is the Hostage 2001. That brings me to our next cohort, Sprinkles.
I thought I was the crazy one.
Doo-doo-doo.
Do.
Granted, you're crazy, but sorry, get on our level.
I
that
do
brings
hot
us
cosplays.
And that brings me to our fourth and final member, 004 Zen.
Yo, we pimp jumping.
No, we're not.
Fuck no.
By the way, Zach, in the future,
Never again.
When we do these podcasts, you guys don't know this yet. I didn't tell you, but I'm telling you guys live because I feel like being funny. So, I've had these pictures all set up that go throughout whenever we talk about certain subjects. From now on, I'm putting pictures around the symbol of our characters. I'm put Leroy, I'm put Lobo. Sprinkles and I will discuss a character for him, and for you, Zach, is gonna be that picture from the other day. The cursed image.
Jesus Christ, really?
Yep.
Why are we gonna troll?
Make it worse.
You're gonna use that abomination?
I am.
I don't even know what you guys are talking about.
Look through the memes section on the fucking Discord server.
Please,
I'm scared.
It's really funny.
No, it's not. I'm scared. I'm not gonna look at it. I don't trust you.
It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible.
So yeah, back to the podcast.
All right, yeah, continuing on.
So, last week, we decided before we did our first episode to participate in a challenge of our own creation. We called it the Final Fantasy Challenge, where every member of the cast had to play a Final Fantasy game they had not played before. And yes, we specified games that we have not played before because we didn't want people, Sprinkles, playing games they've already played and coming back and talking about it.
I only played Tactics for 10 minutes. Leave me alone.
Says the guy who said, I only completed like 20% of the game.
I mean, that's still like... Alright, you got me.
So anyways, we were tasked with playing a Final Fantasy game none of us, we had not played before. And we were to come back now on this day on the podcast and give our thoughts to the group. So everyone was given a different game. Leroy had to play Final Fantasy Type 0.
Sounds like a great game.
Sprinkles was tasked with playing Final Fantasy VI, which is one of the most critically acclaimed and well-received games in the series.
Yeah, and I...
Myself, Lobo, had to play Final Fantasy VIII.
Who has not played that?
I had not. I gave it a pass when it first came out.
I see, you're not a man of culture.
And finally, Zach, who is one of our biggest Final Fantasy X fans, aside from Sprinkles.
I was going to say, hold on.
Don't worry, I got you. Was tasked with playing the first ever direct sequel to a Final Fantasy game, Final Fantasy X-2.
Burn it with fire.
So, we're going to start things off right away, and we're going to jump right into this with Zach giving his review and his thoughts on X-2.
Well, that was a good start. Where do I even start with this game?
Like hanging yourself, please.
Sprinkles, shut up and let the man speak.
You're not wrong. How about I just dive into the combat system immediately?
You better off that way.
So, I don't know if anybody has played 10 besides Sprinkles.
I have.
The combat system for 10-2 is literally the opposite. its style is 7, but worse. And when I mean worse, like, so one of the issues I coming into the playing the game, I was like, all right, system's easy, I can adjust to this. I was attacking enemy who was charging an attack. I'm like, all right, cool, I'll finish it before they do it. Nope. If you kill the enemy, they finish their whole animation. The whole thing.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, it does.
So
I haven't played
then
the
I'm
game
like,
like 5 years, but yeah, that sounds about right.
It's been ages since I played it as well. I completely that one. Yeah,
Guys, I think it's kind of funny. We're all just like, yeah, sounds all right.
One of the other things I hate about the combat, I was trying to use the black mage stuff. I'm like, all right, I'm going to do this. All right, it's this person's turn. Well, let's activate it. Then it has its own separate charge time to casting it. Why? Why in the world would you let me select what I want and then reload again? By the way, this is only 1% of my problems with the game. That's 1%.
Yo,
I kid you not.
Zed,
What?
you should talk about pain.
You mean knock off budget heavy Orin?
Yes, please.
Oh my god, she really is. She's like they took Lulu and Orin had a
She's
nasty,
edgy, Orin.
horrible, angry love child of doom.
You know what's really funny?
Isabel
She's probably
Dusha.
the best character at the beginning.
Yeah.
She hits so hard. You don't even
He's
want to
not
change
wrong.
her class. And that's a whole thing. So I don't remember which Final Fantasy it is, but there's a Final Fantasy where you start as an Onion Knight, and then you could change your class.
I think it's 4,
X2
right?
reflects on that with dress spheres.
Yes,
It's
it's the
horrible.
job system. It was introduced in one moment here.
I want to say 4.
You're possibly right. I don't recall.
As we go silent.
I was just
See, Final Fantasy 3, 5. I don't remember which game it was that started the whole being able to change jobs on the.
Let's just say it's 4 for time convenience sake.
Yeah.
That system, terrible. And I'll tell you why. White Mage is the worst fucking class. The worst. In 10.2. In 10.2.
I agree.
Because all they do is pray. They don't even get any white magic. None.
I hate to interrupt you again, but that's funny because Yuna, great white mage in 10, but 10-2? Yeah, what was that?
Yeah, what happened with that? It's just like, okay, they took her, great class, and then they completely effed it up.
I don't know what they were thinking, because I'm going to be honest with the game. The story for 10.2 was actually not bad. It's actually not bad. Even though I didn't get
story's good.
Yeah, like
I didn't
it's
mind
a good way to introduce, a sequel to a game. But the combat system was horrible. And one of the things that really bothered me was your characters would be placed in certain ways, like they would be behind an enemy, the other two would be like in front of it. It's like, oh, maybe there's an advantage point. No, nothing, no advantages, nothing. They're just placed randomly. The other classes are terrible. Like I stuck with the default. But there's another thing about the combat I hate. So in 10.2, you can go anywhere. Anywhere that was in 10, you can go to. But all the enemies scale at your level, no matter where you go.
It makes grinding super hard in that game. It really does.
Yeah, because I was looking, I was like, all right, I'm going to grind a bit and everything. And one area said, oh, this is a 5-star difficulty area. I'm like, all right, cool, I'll go. There were maybe like 2 levels higher than me. The worst thing is when you get to a boss, holy shit, they're difficult.
Yeah, they really are.
You can't grind because everything is scaled to your level. How can you grind?
That game really feels like you're being railroaded the entire game. It really felt like you being railroaded a certain path, and you really can't do much grinding, and they want you to struggle with the bosses, which is fine. I mean, you should do some struggling when you're in a JRPG or any RPG, but that game brought you a whole nother level. It's like, okay, when I remember when I first played it when it came out, I was slamming my head against my fucking desk. I was so mad. I'm like, this game, I kept dying. I'm like, are you serious? Like, are you effing serious? I just couldn't grind. I couldn't like beat like the first couple
That's
bosses.
what
And the one thing I have to say though is that the game, 90% of the game holds your hand. Like after every boss fight, they introduce something brand new, and I'm just like, okay, cool. And then you use it once,
Yep.
and then they introduce a completely other thing.
Yep.
One of the other things I had an issue was one of the first locations you can actually go to, and this is being completely honest, I got lost for 35 minutes. So,
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, the game has no sense of direction.
so this is what happened. You go to Besaid, and you have to find Waka at a cave. Lulu says, "Oh, talk to the people in the village. They might know things." I'm like, "All right, I'll go to each house, talk around the people." No one was saying anything. I'm like, "All right, well, it must be that path that's in the first fork in the road." You know, I could figure that out. I'm a gamer. I go there. You can't even go into the fork of the road. I'm like, "What's going here? On here? I can see the road. It's right here. Why can't I go here? Why can't I go here?" So then I started talking, went back talking to the village, and someone said, "Oh, there's a cave at the fork of the road." I'm like, "All right, well, maybe now I unlocked it." I went back, couldn't go. I'm like, what the heck's going on here? I then find out there's a freaking entire puzzle on the map. And then it wasn't that crossroad again. I started mashing A on everything, and I eventually found a stupid elevator with the proper code that I need to do. I'm like, all right, cool, thanks. 35 minutes. And you know what the worst thing is? So in 10, they tell you where to go. There's like a blinking red arrow. Go here, go here. This is the main quest. Go here. Doesn't show up. But when you do a side mission, it shows up.
Is it me or did this game would feel really rushed? Like when I first played, I felt like the game was rushed. Like the combat
I
was like I felt like they took 10, they had huge success with 10. Like, all right, let's hurry up and capitalize on 10, and let's make all the girls wear skin and clad clothing to try to get this thing kicked off. Let's make Riku practically wear absolutely nothing besides a bikini top and like a really tight skirt, and then let's make the most wholesome character they had in 10.
Yuna
Yeah.
has guns.
And she's a pop singer now. It's like what?
so I'm
Pop
glad
star
you
Britney
mentioned
Britney.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm glad you mentioned that because you can definitely tell that 10.2 still has the same AI input and everything. Like it's still the same system. One of the things that was changed though was the combat, of course, and story and everything. But when you do that, when you take lines and codes and you just try to copy it and then paste it and alter it there, it doesn't work. It gets rushed. It's horrible. But I think one of the other issues was they wanted to have the fans, oh, this is a direct sequel. There's obviously the airship from 10, everybody knows all the locations. Free roam.
Except it was actually a different airship,
Oh,
wasn't it?
I can't remember, to be honest with you. At least it's been like
it
5
might
years
be
since I played the game.
still they introduced that there was an airship in 10, and the point being airship technology is, you know, optimal. Like that's cool and all, but now you don't have the feeling of a linear path. You now have this branching path, and what do you do from there? You're going to expect your players to go to the hardest area and try to grind. That's when they
Yeah,
change the
two
coding to
different
go,
airships.
oh, here's how we're going to balance this factor that you can go to the strongest area, level scaling. And that's horrible. You don't ever fucking do that. And so I could see why it's rushed because they're trying to reflect 10 as a direct sequel with these ideas like, oh, why do we need them to explore everywhere? They already know all the locations. Let's make a new combat because apparently, from what I know, from most players, probably not us, the combat system in 10 was apparently terrible, which I don't understand because I loved 10's combat.
Turn-based combat's the best combat.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
agree.
Absolutely.
But I know a lot of people I have talked to before about 10 and 10.2, they told me don't play 10.2 because the story's bad. The combat's amazing. I'm like, the combat's amazing? And then they would say, yeah, it's a lot better than 10. I'm like,
Well,
okay.
I
Now
like
I just don't
the
understand.
jump in real quick on that. The reason why people didn't like 10's combat is because everybody kept saying it wasn't original. It reflected on Final Fantasy 1 and 2 with turn-based combat, and people wanted something new.
7 had turn-based combat too.
Yeah.
No, 7 had the time-based combat, but basically you wait to attack.
This is true. This is absolutely true. Because you had the waiting system, and there was a way with Game Shark back in the day we could actually hit a button, and actually if you play the ports they have on the PS4, you can do the same thing do with 8 and 7, where it beats up the time quicker compared to being turn-based. He is right. It is actually time-based combat system.
Okay. Yeah.
which was messed up because like I remember back in the day when I played 7 back in the day and 8, I had a Game Shark because I cheated the fuck out of it. Because I was like,
Because a cheater.
yeah. Well, my first playthrough I did without the Game Shark. I got the Game Shark years later, and so I'm like, all right, I'm gonna play it with Game Shark. I'm like, oh my god, this is way too easy. Like you literally just hit one button. Oh wait, my limit breaks to fucking max now. Fantastic.
9,999 damage. What on the first boss?
Frame Game Shark. Oh my god,
this is awesome. Playing without an eye. It's pretty challenging.
Just for a quick little side note before we hop on to Alex talking about 8, dude, can you guys imagine if they had a system like that for modern games, Game Shark? Oh my god. People would complain to no fucking extent. Unless there is one, and I'm not aware of it.
But don't you know they do? It's called modding and hacking the game.
Guys,
yeah.
I actually have an idea that we should do though. That would be pretty cool.
What's that?
After we all talk about our games, the person talking about the end should give it like a rating of like a something out of 10, and
That's
then say
idea.
like quickly what the pros were and the cons were in like a quick note, and then we all give our rating if we play that game too.
All right. So Zen, scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate Final Fantasy X to?
Well, considering I wasn't able to finish it, and I kind of know how the story goes, I'm gonna say 4 out of 10.
Okay.
Story good, the rest of the gameplay terrible.
Excellent. All right. So we call that a 4 out of 10. Now let's move on to Alex. Well, Lobo.
Lobo.
Lobo. Yeah, sorry. Getting used to that.
You have to edit that out.
Editing. What the hell is that?
Anyways, moving on. So I was tasked with playing Final Fantasy VIII by Leroy because I had given the game a pass back in the day when it first came out. Didn't interest me as much as 7.
What a loser.
Say what you want. I really don't give a shit. I liked 7. I was kind of looking at 8 going, eh. But anyways, I played 5 hours worth of gameplay, got to the point of getting Renoa to join your party. And good story, good characters from what I saw. Graphics are amazing as always.
Especially for that
Can I
time
say
period.
one thing real quick?
Yeah, and I even played the remaster, so they looked a little cleaner and nicer.
Yeah, the
Can I say
remaster
one
they
thing
did a really
real
good
quick?
job with. Oh, what's that, Zach? I'm Zen.
I just want to say one thing real quick. When you changed the image on the stream, and I literally thought that was Yuna for a moment. I'm like, wait, we're back to 10? What's going on here?
I know it's crazy because Renoa looks a lot like Yuna. I'm pretty sure they took Renoa and said, okay, let's make Yuna, but let's make it look like the female heroine who wasn't that popular compared to Tifa. Let's make her like kind of like Renoa when they made a
Hey
Yuna.
man, copy my homework, slightly change it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Exactly.
Which I have to
Continue,
say,
Lobo.
the 8 remake looks fantastic. I've actually finally got a chance to play it myself.
Well, it's not a remake. It's an HD remaster.
Remaster. It looks
Because they didn't go and remake the entire fucking game. Which, granted, they could, but it would take them. It probably longer than it's taking them with 7. And also, Leroy, you might want to fix your spelling on your Twitch.
Yeah, whatever.
Uncle Leroy presents.
I don't give a shit. Whatever.
Fix your shit, motherfucker.
I will fix it eventually.
Anyways, so I played 8. Squall was an obnoxious fucking character.
Hey, Leroy, remember our nickname, Captain Whatever?
Captain Whatever.
Yeah, I was
We
getting to
actually
that.
named him Captain Whatever, which is
There
hilarious.
wasn't enough space.
We into whatever.
There's not
with
even
an A.
enough space. There's
Yeah.
not even enough space to put whatever. Yeah, well, whatever. Yeah, that could have worked. But
Yeah.
anyways,
Oh
I
my
kept
God,
his name
that's so
just
funny.
because I didn't see enough space to fit whatever. But yes, that was his fucking response to everything. Whatever. Having a fucking actual emotional moment with Christus. Whatever.
Dude, he could be like, the whole world could be exploding. He could be like, yeah, whatever.
Dude,
Seriously, I
is it just
definitely
me,
get that
or
impression
is-
from this character.
Or was Christus going all ara about him too, like off the bat too?
I definitely got that impression that it seemed like Christus was kind of a little, as you put it, at him.
Yeah, hardcore.
So is this being streamed live right now?
Yes, it's on Twitch.
Yes, it is.
Because a couple of the people on Apamino want to know if they want to hop in. If you want to send me the link, just to listen.
I will send you the link. Absolutely. So more
Actually,
people
just send it in the chat.
I got it. Which chapter you want it in? Actually, yeah. I know how to do it. I'll just message you directly.
Yeah, just message him directly, and he can put it in the chat for me now.
I
Thanks,
can do
dude.
that right now.
Thanks.
So yeah. So yes. But yeah, this is being streamed live on Twitch. We
There
will
you
be
go.
sending this on. I did actually spell it incorrectly because I was trying to type fast. Because I realized beforehand, before we started this, what actually had happened was originally it said for my last Twitch stream, which I stream on Twitch, said.
Yes, you Twitch, but that's beside the point, Leroy.
Yeah, I twitched, but so what had happened was the last live stream I did was the Mementos thing from Persona 5 Royal, and it said I was doing that again. I'm like, I'm doing a podcast, and I even specifically said too, when I did on OBD, what we were doing. Like I look at the title right now. It says first ever Future Gadget Laboratory podcast episode 1. Welcome / Final Fantasy Quarantine Life and Dark Side of the Ring. Which. We also kind of messed up at the beginning too, but that's okay. Whatever. This is our first ever podcast, so
I didn't get into all the talking points at the start. I just started off and, went into the challenge here. So
yeah, it happens.
Yeah, I know. We're not organized people.
No, we're not at all.
we are far from it.
Yeah, I know.
Let's
As
be
soon as you
perfectly
start,
fucking clear here. We are far from fucking organized.
Yeah,
as soon as we start, all right, guys, sidetracked.
exactly. All right,
So,
I love
let's
it.
get back into 8.
All right,
getting
so
back
8.
into 8. My biggest gripe with 8 was the combat system. Well, not even so much the combat system as their fucking weird-ass Guardian Force and magic system.
Junction.
Yeah.
Yes. What annoyed me the most was the fact that if you didn't have a fucking Guardian Force junctioned on a character, they were fucking useless. They couldn't even use items. One of the most basic fucking functions in a Final Fantasy game. Using an item, and they can't do that without the goddamn Guardian Force junction. I thought that was kind of bullshit. Especially because apparently the copy I played of the 8 remake was glitchy, and, removed the fucking Guardian Forces from my characters
Oh
So-
god.
at one point.
So let me get into that a little bit. So Alex had a different copy than what we normally have. I'm not gonna say where he got it because I don't want to get Lobo in trouble. But so
I'm a filthy pirate, and I downloaded a free copy.
you are Mickey's, and I'm the one drinking rum here and talking. So whatever.
Yeah, I know.
I'm drinking fucking whiskey. What's your point? So anyways.
Why is the rum always gone?
Because
Because Leroy and Stitch drank it all.
pretty
Oh.
much. So
Not
the
gonna.
whole thing with the combat system, like I agree with Alex's point with the combat system, but it does kind of it makes sense. But the item thing was the biggest BS about it all. I agree completely. They should have kept the items for all characters. If they had if you use the Guardian Forces and you can use magic or the Guardian Forces themselves, that would have made sense. But,
Absolutely.
But they took away the
But-
items thing, which is bullshit.
Yes.
It was absolute
Forcing
bullshit.
you to have a Guardian Force equipped in order to even use basic items, I felt was the biggest bunch of bullshit in that game.
And
Because
mind
that
you,
was That was fucking ridiculous
God,
that they're
horrible.
forcing this on you.
And mind you, 8 is my second favorite Final Fantasy of all time. I love 8. I absolutely love 8. But I completely agree with you there, dude. Oh my god, I got so angry when my first playthrough. I was like, why can't I give my guys items? Holy crap, what the hell's going on here? But then once you get used to the combat system, then the card game's fantastic. But you continue.
No, it's fine. You can feel free to throw in your 2 cents here and there. I don't care. That's the whole point of this.
I like to give in my 2 cents right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
The only problem, besides the combat system, I felt like when the enemies leveled up with you was kind of like, not really like fun for me, because I'll be like, oh, I leveled up instead of the enemies, and I'm like, oh, dude, what's the point of grinding then?
But
yes, again, with the dynamic leveling was an issue.
Actually, in 8 it worked though. That's the thing about that though. In 8 it worked. Because you were able to still grind and beef up your levels, but you get to grind faster, though. That's what I liked about 8. Unlike with 10, too. You can grind a lot faster with 8.
It was... The dynamic leveling was a bit of bit problematic, but it was handled better than it was in 10, too. Mm-hmm. I will 100% agree with that.
Yeah,
and one more thing I have to say.
What's that?
Okay, my other gripe with the combat in that game is that sometimes normal battles, like random encounters, would take like 10 minutes. Like, example, the fucking Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Yeah.
Oh,
actually, there is ways to beat that quicker, but I'll leave that. If we ever do a podcast just about 8, or we actually have sit down some discussion about 8, I can.
If we ever do a deep dive, we'll go into that stuff.
Yeah,
but for now,
I know how to beat the T-Rex in 2 turns. So, yeah. That's just me.
For now, anyways. My other issue came from their I guess I'll call it their casting system, their magic system. Was I don't even fucking know how to describe it. It is one of the most bizarre fucking systems I've come across.
It is bizarre. It is very bizarre. The one thing I did like though is the draw.
It forces you. Even if you junction a Guardian Force, you don't necessarily have the ability to cast your spells. That's the other thing. Because it forced you to set skills based on with the Guardian Force, and it was either items, Guardian Force, and there was one other thing, and then magic.
Yeah, you still had to put magic as one of the things on there. You still had to have magic.
Oh wait, it was draw. It was the draw ability. Because say even if you put your spell casting ability, you still needed you have the draw ability equipped so that you could then draw the spells from the enemies.
Yeah.
Because without the draw ability, your spell casting's fucking useless.
Yes, it was, and it worked out pretty shitty. If you had never played the game before and you're like, okay, I'm gonna cast split fire spells. Oh, I'm on fire spells. Oh well, I'll just replenish my MP. Oh wait, I can't use a spell at all because I don't have any more to use. You had to draw to gain all those spells, and oh my god, that was one of the biggest pain in the butts when I first played it. To figure that system out. But the thing about 8, though, I'll tell everyone, 8 is a fantastic game. The one thing you'll figure out is once you figure out the combat system, once you figure out stuff, you can break the game very easily. Very, very easily.
Well, see, I found that happens with most Final Fantasies anyways.
Oh, yeah, but especially with 8. It's a shitty combat system, but once you figure it out, you can break it and then some.
Oh, yeah.
In-game is fun.
So, yeah, that was my impressions on Final Fantasy VIII. It was decent game. Combat system, bit wonky.
But it's not bad.
No, it's by no means is it a bad game. The combat system is fucking weird. It is the simplest explanation I can give you. The combat system is really fucking weird. And it's definitely something that if you don't know what you're getting into, you're going to be sitting in your fucking head going, okay, what am I doing? That said, like Leroy said, once you figure things out, yeah, you can break the game. You can, figure out how to work you can, metagame the crap out of it and have the combat system work for you. I didn't get that far into it, so I personally don't have experience with that. But I would give the game, based on what I played, 7 out of 10.
So it's decent.
Yes, it's decent. It would have been a better score, but again, with the combat system.
Very good. All right. Should we transition to mine, or yeah, that's what we discussed, right? And then we end off with
Next,
Sprinkles?
we're on. So now moving on from myself, we're going to Leroy, and Leroy was. I'm going to put it this way: Leroy was forced to play Final Fantasy Type 0 because now there's an explanation behind this, and this is funny. This is entertaining. See, Leroy originally chose to play Final Fantasy 3, not realizing that the Final Fantasy 3 that was released on the Super Nintendo and on the SNES Classic was actually Final Fantasy 6, which he assigned to Sprinkles to play.
Forgetting that, mind you, when I played Final Fantasy 6, it was 3 on Super Nintendo, and I was like 6 years old, dude. I was 6. I was over at my cousin Nick's house. I was playing it, didn't know what the hell I was playing, and so I had no idea. And mind you, Sprinkles and I had this issue 4 or 5 years ago with 2 and 4. Like
Yes.
So it's just like
Inside joke, by the way.
Yeah, which is a huge issue with Final Fantasy titles when they try something to the U.S. And this is another one of those. This is one of those examples, actually. This game in general. So this game has had numerous different names.
Like when it come to 4, when we were discussing it, you were just like, "Oh, I love Final Fantasy 2. It's one of my favorites." I'm like, "Oh, I love 4." So we're both talking about it, and we're just like, "I'm like, yeah, but Cecil Harvey, dude, he's like so cool." You're like, "Hold on, it's the main character in 2," and I'm like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah, and then we went on Wikipedia and we're like, "Oh my god, I can't believe that."
We played the same game. We just look at each other like face palmed.
Yeah, pretty much. And mind you, this was like 4 or 5 years ago. And, you're sitting down and just hanging out talking about Final Fantasy because we were on a huge binge of playing the games again, and that's
So
happened.
might do again.
Yes, definitely. So
anyways, now moving on to you being forced, and yes, I say forced because you'll understand why in a moment, to play Type 0.
So I had extremely high hopes for this game. All right, so I'll tell a little backstory. I don't think I've told even Lobo yet. So I used to work for Best Buy, and when this game came out in the U.S., I saw this game, it looked really cool. I'm like, oh man, this is a new Final Fantasy. It's not one of the numbered ones. It's not part of the main series. It looks like, I looked at the cover. I'm like, this game looks really cool. It's about war. All right, cool. But I never picked it up. So years later, we're getting to 2020 now. We're all trapped in quarantine. I'm like, you know what? I want to give this game a try. So I downloaded it because I couldn't do 3 aka 6 because Sprinkles was doing 6, and the port of 3 on Steam looks like garbage, so I don't want to touch it. So and my other option would be
poopy.
Yeah, my next option would be to grab the DS version of 3, which I didn't want to grab. So I'm like, you know what? I don't feel like spending the $40 on that or whatever it was on Amazon. Get shit to my house, whatever. So I hopped on to Type 0, and oh my god, let me give you a little backstory. Type 0 was a PSP game in Japan. This game was announced in 2006. Was released in 2012 or 11. And it's going through so many different name changes. I can't even begin. I could probably do a whole effing podcast on this freaking game of how, like, there's a YouTuber out there. I'll probably leave a link to the description of the things you didn't need to know about Final Fantasy Type 0. I'll probably leave it in the description of the Twitch channel. He describes the entire thing and what happened with this game. So it has 2 different names, and Type 0, and I can't, because of the A, I can't pronounce it because I suck at pronouncing Japanese stuff. That's just who I am. I'm going further on down the podcast line. We talk about anime, you're going to catch me mispronouncing shit all the time.
Yeah, what a weeb.
Yeah, I know. Now, mind you, I'm Uncle Leroy, the otaku dad. I should know this shit, but it's okay. I don't.
Otaku dad coming to the rescue.
Yeah, pretty much. So Type 0, I have really high hopes. So I got into the game. The story was really confusing off the bat. Turns out you have to play the game at least twice to get the whole picture of the story of what's going on. Which, I've played games like that before, but this was really effing confusing. So the story pissed me off the bat. I was like, what the hell is this shit? So the combat has to be at least good. No, I was wrong. So the combat is garbage. Well, not complete garbage. You get a huge amount of cast. The picture that I have on the stream right now has all the characters from that you can play. there's so many different main characters, like 6 and other games before it. It has a huge cast of main characters, and you run around with 3 characters. It's real-time combat, pretty much. So you can choose out of 3 characters. Ace is the main character, and he's a card thrower. He's fucking Gambit light, dude. He's Gambit light. He throws these cards around like an idiot. And
Leroy,
what?
for those people who don't know who Gambit is, can you give a quick explanation?
Gambit is a Marvel Comics character from the X-Men series who takes playing cards, yells at people in Creole, and throws them at them, and they explode.
To be a little more detailed, Gambit is a mutant from the X-Men series who charges objects with kinetic energy, causing them to explode on impact.
Mainly playing cards.
Yes, his biggest thing he's known for is running around with a deck of playing cards, charging up the cards, and throwing them because Gambit was a thief and a gambler.
So if you guys watch the 90s X-Men cartoon, you guys know who Gambit is. If not, if you're not old bastards like me and Lobo here, then yeah. So, going back to the characters, there's actually characters I liked, but I have issues with some of them. The one few male characters I liked was King. He was a dual-wielding, it looks like just like regular pistols. And at first, okay, he has just regular pistols, so cool. He has, clip spot there. I'm all right, cool. I wonder what this pistol is called. Revolver. If anyone who knows guns knows that revolvers don't have clips.
No.
This dude is dropping clips. I'm like, are you serious? I put my controller down. I got up out of my room. I walked in the room. I looked at my daughter, and I went, Daddy's not happy. Daddy is not happy right now. I walked back to my room. I sat down, and I was like, okay, let's keep going. So I kept trudging through. So that was my complaint about that. They messed that up completely. And mind you, remember, this is a PSP port. Remember, game is a PSP port. So I didn't really expect too much in the graphics to begin with when I found out it was PSP port. But at least I expect the combat system to be at least halfway decent. And some guys there are. One of the characters, he wields a katana, and he runs around with it, and he becomes so damn slow when he pulls out his katana. It's ridiculous. Like, he isn't no Rurouni Kenshin dude who runs through, or like fucking Samurai Champloo when he's running through like a madman slicing people up. This dude's walking very slow, and you have to literally...
the reference.
He has to put the katana away and run up to something to pull back out and attack. It's ridiculous. And then you got other characters, like Queen, who has a freaking sword in her hand, and she's fast as hell. She is fast as hell. Another girl has a scythe. She's fast as hell, too. I'm like, what is going on here? I'm like, what is
females represent?
Picture? Dude, the best characters in this game are the female characters and, like, 2 of the male characters. Just 2.
Definitely be my friend's game, then.
Dude, like, this game, like, you see the picture, there's a girl wielding a scythe. She was amazing. Her name was Siren, I think her name was. And she was amazing. Like, she's probably her and the dude with the bow were my 2 favorite characters to use. They were fantastic characters to use. Other than that, everyone else sucked. Like, those 2 in Queen were amazing. Everyone else just horrible. The story was extremely confusing to begin with, and the fact that you have to go through twice to play through was extremely annoying for a Final Fantasy game. Final Fantasy games, I expected to dump at least 50 to 100 hours into a game. I don't want to play through it twice to get the story. I want to play through it once, not twice. And apparently not only twice. You can only play 3 or 4 times to get the entire story. It's like, okay. I understand, like, games like Mass Effect, games like, Dragon Age, games like, even Persona
Skyrim.
5, Skyrim, Persona 5, these big RPG games, you at least get like 90% of the story. You at least you understand 90% of the story. I mean, there's always going to be stuff where you can go back and you miss and stuff like that, but at least you get most of the story. I was so goddamn confused throughout this entire game. I can't even describe it, dude. I felt like I was staring into a alternate universe and looking back at myself and just looking at something extremely effing stupid. That's how mad I was at this game. I'm like, why did I was literally staring at myself, at my own reflection in my TV going, why the hell am I playing this game right now? I don't know what I'm doing at all. This is ridiculous. I feel like I'm really dragging myself through this game. Like, I dreaded, because as part of this challenge, we all had to play 5 hours of the game minimum. The 5 hours for like 50,000 hours. It was so bad. This game was just so bad. And the other aspect too is the I'll tell you a little bit about the story. The story is you're about all these kids. You're in this class, what's called Class 0, and you have to be you're like this pristine, like top tier class, and you're the head of your class. You all call mother, which is very fucking weird to begin with, which is very strange. I did not like that, nor did I understand it.
Mommy kinks rise up.
Pretty much. There's a whole lot of and you can see a severe ara out of the woman too. Like she had an ara for like the entire class. It was very strange, very disturbing, kind of kinky, but very disturbing.
Ooh.
So, but it was just the whole story was bad. The fact they did a Persona thing where for people who don't know, Persona 5 has this, or Persona games in general have the thing where you get to waste time in between missions and use the time to build up your relationships with other characters and build up your stats and whatnot. This game had that too. The problem is they give you 12 hours to do it, with not a whole lot of things to do. It was pretty bad. Like, you go explore something, maybe talk to one person, and literally, you have a conversation with someone, it would say 2 hours gone by. I was like, okay, that was a 10-minute conversation. Not even. What the hell is this shit? The game was just bad. In general, just all the way around. Just horrible. There's some of the characters I think I could like if they had an offshoot. But otherwise, they failed here in the U.S. But the last point I'll make about how bad the game was the voice acting. The American voice acting was absolute garbage. The Japanese voice acting, on the other hand, was good. It was actually tolerable. I ended up switching over to Japanese with subtitles. That's the only way I was able to keep playing the game. And I never do that. I am a guy who prefers my video games dubbed. And I had to switch over to subbed. And I never have to do that. Never.
Dang.
Yeah. I give this game a 2 stars. I delete it off my hard drive, and if I have a thing where if I hate a game a lot, I will delete it file by file, just get the satisfaction of dumping it into my recycle bin. I could not do this with this because it's PS4. So I deleted it, and then I just sat there and just smiled while it was deleting. I did not like this game. I would not recommend this game for anyone to play.
Give me 1 second, guys.
Absolutely. So it was definitely not worth picking up. I would not suggest it to anybody. I mean, I understand it's PSP port. I absolutely understand that. And that's one of the biggest things about people saying it's PSP port. But still, it's no excuse for the combat system. No excuse for the bad American voice acting. You could at least, if you guys are releasing a game in the US, at least pay to have the voice acting a little bit better. Or at least just leave it subbed at least leave it subbed, okay? Because I think that was the first thing off the bat that annoyed me was the guy like oh my god, I just got stabbed and killed. Okay. I'll add a couple little extra points while waiting for our Sprinkly one to return. Was the one thing I did like was it was a very violent game. Probably the most violent Final Fantasy they've ever released. There was blood everywhere. You saw a chocobo just screaming until it died, and it was really, really horribly violent.
Wait, hold on. Did you say a chocobo screaming till it died?
Yes, that's how the game began, pretty much. When the soldiers
I just come back and you said chocobo screaming, dude. I don't like this game.
Dude, yeah. So maybe Springers might remember from
now.
playing it, but at the very beginning of the game, you pretty much go through and you see this character who they don't explain yet who the hell he is.
Yeah, he dies.
He dies.
Or something.
And the chocobo screams until it dies.
Yeah, I know, dude. It's like, okay, I get it, you're dying, but why show the animal abuse?
Exactly. Why show the animal dying too on top of all this stuff? It's like,
yeah, watch. It's like,
I
no,
understand
you can
you're trying to show
the
horrors of
Leroy.
war, the horrors of war, but I understand trying to show the horrors of war, but seriously, dude. Seriously.
Like, Leroy, you can agree with me on one thing. It just makes no sense. Like, in the beginning, it was just like, okay, so they show this character dying, and they spent an extra 5 minutes showing the animal dying. I'm like, dude, the animal dying had more screen time than this other dude dying.
Yes, he did. It's just like, I kept thinking the animal was going to survive because of how much screen time they gave him. And then when they showed the dude dying, he's like, what's the importance of this dude? And spoiler alert, the dude knows two of the other main characters. He was like the brother of one of them. And that's all they get.
Cutting out a little there, brother.
Oh, sorry. And the brother was the one who's dying there, and they fairly vaguely mention him apparently in the entire series, or the entire playthrough. It's like, okay. And another thing too, apparently when someone dies, the heads of wherever this friggin' warring state is make it so you forget the person who died. So it doesn't hurt.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's one of the things they brought up too. I thought was really messed up. This whole story is just backwards as hell, horrible, bad, terrible.
Sounds like you had a great time.
Dude, I needed like at least a whole day of drinking, a whole day of smoking, a whole day of rough, horrible sex to get over this. Like rough sex to get over this game.
Like we're not talking like, you know, something like you guys are angry. It's like there was something wrong in the relationship type of deal.
Pretty much. To quote Deadpool, there was something wrong in the relationship there. Yeah, that's just the only way to get over that game. I literally had to go and play a game that I was absolutely loved to get over how bad that game was. Like I literally sat there and played Persona 5 Royal for like 12 hours straight. I think it was like either 10 or 12 hours straight just to get over that. That's how bad that game was to make me realize what a good game was. So, and that's my review for Type 0.
And now it's my turn.
Oh boy!
Yes, moving on. Now we come to Sprinkles, and Sprinkles, much to his distaste and chagrin and many gripes later.
I wanted to play Tactics, okay, and you guys wouldn't allow me.
No, we wouldn't.
No, we wouldn't because you had already played Tactics.
Oh my god. Side note, my buddy just came home who lives with us now and brought home beer. And I'm drinking, it's home brewed, and I'm drinking basically molasses beer.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. I got a bottle of fucking Screwball peanut butter whiskey.
Oh my gosh, sounds more delicious than this right now. But,
Well,
okay, I'll review mine.
Is.
At first, I thought, hey, it's Final Fantasy VI, critically acclaimed. You know, I'll give it a shot. Of course, in America, when it first came out for the Super Nintendo, I believe, it was Final Fantasy III. Much to people's dismay, when it had the American release one, people rose a couple eyebrows because everybody's like, Final Fantasy VI, hold on, what's going on here? This looks like 3. Well, it's because it is.
Yeah.
The game starts out pretty good. What you're seeing is basically like a 19th century, late 19th century steampunk. It follows this girl who you don't know who the name is. She's got basically like a seafoam green type of hair, and she's followed by 2 other people, which is two names that everybody recognizes when they play Final Fantasy. Biggs and Wedge. They're in every single game, just like Sid is.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep, there's a Biggs and Wedge and a Sid in every Final Fantasy, one way or another.
Except
Biggs and
Type 0.
Basically, Biggs and Wedge in this game are 2 soldiers that are accompanied by, and you guys are having like, I think it's like a steampunk type of mech. It wasn't really clarified, but you start out and you realize you're in the middle of a war, and you fight. And right off the bat, it's ridiculous. Like, you're doing like 200 damage per hit, and these enemies have like 10 HP, and I'm like, what the hell's going on here? And most of the time, you think, oh, you're using MP, which you're not, because there's 2 different variations of magic in that game. There is, of course, magic and Esper. Esper is what uses mana, while magic just uses technology. Now,
that explains the Battlecast armor in the image.
Basically, this game takes place with the combat of Final Fantasy, which is basically time-based combat. Basically, this is the predecessor to 7's combat system.
And music too.
Updated, of course.
And the music too.
Now, I thought the game... What's up?
Frosted Squall says, hear a lot of echoing.
That is weird. That is weird.
Yeah, that is weird. Hello.
I'm not hearing echoing, but Leroy does keep cutting in and out.
That might be your fault, Lobo. As usual.
No,
But-
you've been cutting out for me too a bit. It might be
So-
the headset. It might not be.
As I continue, 6 is a pretty decent game so far. What you're doing is you're getting run into by soldiers, kind of like 7, but it's like it has more dialogue and more like, you know, you're just in the action constantly. Like 7 explains what they're doing, 6 just says, "Here you are, you're fighting." Now, what's so cool about 6 is that when I got to the boss fight, they don't hold your hand. because I lost twice against the boss at first because I was just like, hold on, what is going on? I had to versus a giant snail that whenever I attacked it, I had to choose what element carefully because I realized that it was immune to thunder damage, and when I hit it with thunder, it'd shoot it right back at me, triple the damage.
Yep, I remember that. That was horrible.
And when it went inside of its shell, I had to wait until it got out because if I hit it, it counterattacked, and when it counterattacked, it hit you hard. And it doesn't also help that you don't have any items, and you only have one person with care, and there's no Phoenix Stones so far.
Dude, they have them, but the Phoenix is spelled weird. It's spelled with an F in that game. It's very strange.
Well, that might have been.
As he said, at that point in time, he didn't have them.
But still, it's still spelled weird though. Phoenix is spelled with an F. That's confusing as fuck.
So here's the thing that was really cool for me. I actually got really engaged in it. I might play it later on. After I beat the boss, you go to this thing that we're looking for, which is called an Esper inside of a cave. An Esper looks like a crystallized beast, like inside of an Esper crystallization. And the girl that you don't have any names have a name for yet, it has a bunch of question marks. Doesn't look like it talks to this beast, but it's communicating it through it mentally. And then she passes out, and then you wake up in this old man's house, and he goes, "Oh, I saw that you were doing this," and she goes, "Oh, I lost my memory."
No.
What is that?
Yeah, because the slave collar thing they put on her.
Yeah, they put a slave collar, and then you get a flashback of Kefka. Now, Kefka, he's like a combination of the Joker and Sephiroth put together.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, Kefka was always hailed as one of the craziest, most over-the-top, insane Final Fantasy antagonists.
Now, later on, though, after you go down the cave and you're forced to escape because the guy leads you through a back door, you have to go through a cave, you have to run as guards are chasing you, and then you get surrounded and you fall down a pit. And then all of a sudden she gets up and she falls again, saying she's in critical condition. That's when you meet Locke. He is a thief, but he likes to call himself a treasure hunter because he thinks... Now, this treasure hunter, he's pretty cool. I like him already. He's the type of guy that, likes to go for the action, the thrill, the adrenaline rush of stealing. And he goes to help out. And, of course, later on, to fight more bosses, you get this cool combat system called the Moogle combat system.
Oh my god, that fucking thing.
The Moogle combat system is broken, by the way, because it says, you have 3 groups of Moogles, and they're all, ridiculous level and have different types of magic. And I was just like, damn. So yeah, and then I met some other people, like a general, I think it was another female, I forget. It's really fuzzy on names, but Locke and Terra, by the way, she says her name, is really stuck out for me. I give this game probably a 9 out of 10. It's pretty damn good. I have to give it that.
Yeah.
My only gripe is it's only because I haven't played it. It's just that the combat system wasn't that new to me, but then again, I played the combat system after it. Or before. I played 4 and 7. So it kind of it had a bit of nostalgia to me, and I was like, oh, I can get behind this because I know how it works.
Yeah, 6 was definitely fun. I mean, I didn't get too far. I'm probably at where you are right now in it. Because, like I said, I started playing 3 thinking it was 6 and thinking it was 3. So I'm probably at where you are, maybe a little further, but...
Until he's on the phone with me talking, and I'm reading off the wiki information about it and talking about Terra, and he's like, but wait a minute, that's the game I'm playing.
Yeah, fuck. So again, it happened to me again. But it's just
Then it turned into
fun.
Wait, so fuck, Sprinkles and I are playing the same fucking game? God damn it! Alright, I'm gonna have to find something else now.
He goes, Type 0, aha, and then he goes, oh no, I play Type.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, then it became, alright, well, this looks interesting, I'll give this a try.
Before we go on to our next topic, I want to discuss something that I think would be a really cool idea. We should do an online stream that we all get to pick the games or type of topic we do next, just so people know what we're doing.
All right. I mean, we were talking about doing either anime challenge for next week. Do you guys want to do that, or do you guys want to do a game challenge? I mean, I wouldn't mind doing
cutting out again, man.
Am I really? This is bullshit. All right, do you guys want to do an anime challenge next week or a game challenge next week?
Well, why don't we... Here's a thought. Let's put up a poll on Discord.
All right.
I actually had an idea.
Oh, what would you have?
I was saying that. How about we review the games that we are favorites and why they're our favorites for Final Fantasy?
All right. You know what? That actually might be a good idea because, well, how about this? We all can't choose the same one either, especially for like 7. I know
All
a
right.
few of us.
All right.
10.
I'll go first. I'll go first. I'm choosing 10 because it's my favorite game of all time.
Yeah.
I knew that was going to happen.
Oh, boy.
I have adored that game and I played it so many times that I remember every single quote, battle, how much HP things have. Yeah, you name it.
Yeah, that's me. That's me with 7. But Alex, do you want to take 7 and I'll do 8?
Sure.
All right, because
Because
I
you
love 8.
definitely are a bigger fan of 8 than I was. You've actually completed the game, whereas I haven't.
Yes, and I can probably bring some points and maybe might make you want to come back to the game and give it another try. So,
For Zen, which Final Fantasy games have you played?
Well, there technically only been 5 Final Fantasies. Let's see, X2, 13.
why
I'm
don't you do
in
13?
7. Does that mean I have to grind again?
Or
Did
no,
you-
no. How about
Stuck
this?
in
How
the
about this?
Okay.
Actually, I'll make it easier.
Did you like playing 13?
Yes and no.
All right. I'll make
would
it
you
easier
be
for
able
you.
to?
Hold on.
Hold on. He doesn't necessarily have to go play it again. If we were to do a game discussion next week discussing Final Fantasy games we actually enjoy, would you be able to discuss 13?
Oh, absolutely. I'm like 3/4 done with the game.
Okay.
Because I was gonna say if you wanted to do 10, and I'll just do 4 because 4 is my second favorite.
I mean, we could do that. It's up to Zach though.
I mean, 10 is my all-time favorite.
Yeah, you do
That
10.
would be a lot
I'll do
easier.
4.
All right then.
'Cause
Yeah, we
All right.
can
I played-
now, boys.
Oh,
Dad.
no, we're not.
No,
we're not.
never.
No, we're definitely not.
I played 4 like 5 times, so.
All right,
That
so
seems
No matter how often you try Zen, that will not be a thing.
Pimp chimpin'.
no,
Never.
definitely not.
Say it with me, chat.
No one responds, not even the crickets.
Yeah.
I was waiting for him to start saying it again because I was just, as he was saying it.
Nah, I know chat is like a little delayed, but watch. My time will come.
If
Yeah.
we ever do anime, we can always do our favorites. And how about we go around the chat and say what our favorite animes are?
Yeah,
Like all-time favorite?
Yeah, that would take far too long to just list and discuss. And yeah, no.
pretty much. I mean, how about we say that? How about we do this, guys? We can move on to our next two topics. But next topic, and then before we do our quarantine topic, we can discuss. Give you guys time to think of what anime you would suggest to people to watch. One anime you would suggest to people should watch today that they haven't watched
Okay,
yet.
so I'm going to add on a little caveat to that. Pick a seasonal and pick something that's not just a seasonal anime.
So pick 2.
Yes. 2 shows. Recommend a seasonal anime that has come out like within the last 2 anime seasons or so.
Yeah.
And then
Well-
pick something, pick something
Well, let's do something
that
last
you would
year
just
because
say.
if you do seasons, it'd be a little bit difficult because people. The one big thing because the quarantine thing, we're gonna be missing a lot of animes coming out because of delays. So why don't we just pick over the last 2 years have come out instead of seasons? The last 2 years have come out.
Or we could do a short
I'm gonna
anime
do
and a
that.
long run.
I don't think I could
Regardless.
suggest. I don't think I could. Well, yeah, just do one or the other. You guys pick whatever you want to do. If you guys want to do seasonal one, then do a past one, or if you want to do a long running one and a shorter one, go ahead. I'm probably gonna pick a seasonal one and a other one.
Anyways, moving on now. Our next topic of discussion.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Stand by. Let me switch the picture to this Final Fantasy VII Remake.
So, our next topic of discussion is just going to be briefly touching on the Final Fantasy VII Remake. And while the only one of us who has actually played it so far is Leroy, the rest of us have sat in on it, played through the first mission of the game. So we can give thoughts, first impressions kind of deal. And the
Alright.
game looks amazing.
Can I give my first impressions first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go right ahead.
So my first impression of the game when I heard 7 remake, and I was like, geez, guys, we're going to be here for an eternity because the game's never going to come out. You guys can agree. We've been waiting like so long, and it finally comes out. We're just like, sweats.
Yeah,
Like,
pretty much.
we were waiting
I
so
got
long.
anxiety about it, to be honest with you. I got anxiety about the game when I was downloading. I'm like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. It actually came out.
Now, what was really, really cool about the 7 remake that I like is that they weren't using the same combat system, and I was glad. Here's why. Most people had a gripe about it. Most people were like, oh, I want the old combat system. I was like, no, I want something new. And I was glad they went with the 5th.
So good.
I really liked how they went with 15's combat system, because 15's combat system, despite what people say, is that 15 to me is one of the best Final Fantasies. Yep, you can all rage quit. You know what? Suck my dinky. I don't care. I think 15 is one of the best ones.
For future reference, Sprinkles, you can feel free to suck your dick. We don't need to, PG it down to my
I
dinky.
felt like saying dinky to make people laugh. All right.
Hey,
okay.
Hey, say sprinkles. Forbidden dance.
All right, that's an inside joke. They won't get it. So, anyways, but my
I do because I was in the chat.
My first thoughts on 2 characters, though. I was really hoping for. All right, everybody here knows who my favorite character in 7 is, and
Sid.
Sid is my favorite character. I love Sid. The character is amazing. He's an asshole who smokes a chimney of cigarettes. He drinks a lot, but he's got a heart of gold, and he always gets angry. Yep. He is amazing to me. He actually
fixes things by kicking the shit out of them.
Yes, and guess what? 90% of the time, it works.
Like I said, he fixes things by kicking the shit out of them.
Other times, he complains and blames somebody else.
Yeah, pretty much.
And if it doesn't work, if kicking it and beating on it doesn't work, then it's someone else's fault.
I know. So I'm not sure if we've seen Sid yet. I'm not sure because I heard the name in parts. Then again, and the other character is Tifa.
So to the end of to that point here, this is part 1. This only covers the events in Midgar.
Yes, It does. So, which I was a little, so kind of my fault for not keeping up on
not just yours.
Yeah. So, mind you, this game was announced that they were going to possibly remake when Advent Children came out in 2006. And I loved Advent Children, and they were actually going to make an Advent Children game, if I remember correctly. I have one of my original copies of Advent Children somewhere around here, and they had future games coming on there, which one was Dirge of Cerberus, which I love. If you shit on it, I will shit on you.
But to be fair, though, they overhyped it. They said all these promises, and half the mechanics didn't exist in the game.
Exactly, yeah, that was one of the problems. But still, the game was fantastic overall.
Because they were saying, an RPG element, when they was just like, oh, you leveled up, there you go.
Yeah, pretty
just
much.
Like that was it.
It was a third-person shooter, which fits for Vincent, hack and slash first-person shooter. It fit for Vincent. Like, the game fit for him. So
kind of a Devil May Cry style game.
Yeah, it's pretty much it was Devil May Vincent pretty much. It was fantastic. I love the game. If I still own a copy, I'd probably play it on the regular. To be honest with you.
But as I was saying about the characters, the other character I was really hyped for was Tifa, because Tifa is probably one of my all-time favorite females. I love Tifa. And I know it's going to sound super sexual. I was just like, they better not touch those tits because they need to be big.
At least they made them proportional this time around. They made them proportional.
Yeah, they made it realistic, but when I first heard news they're going to make a flat chest, I was like, no one buy the game. I was like, everybody needs to boycott this. Be a Rosa Parks, sit at the end of the bus.
Oh my god. So all right, I'll go on my take of it because actually, do you guys want to start? Because mine would be a little bit long because I've actually played the game. So do one of you guys want to go before I go?
Yeah, like I said, my initial reaction is the game looks fucking amazing. I like the voice work. I like the graphic work. I like the new combat system. It looks interesting. The updated gameplay looks great.
Hey Lobo, I have a question for you.
I have not. Go right ahead.
Who is your favorite character in the game?
In 7?
Yes. Doesn't even have to be a main character.
Honestly, Tifa.
I give you mad respect to that. I'll take a drink to that.
The amount of shit she put up with and to still always be the one trying to fucking hold everyone together.
Oh yeah. And
Yeah.
are you a fan of Tifa and Cloud or Cloud and Aerith?
Is that even a question?
I know.
It has to be because our viewers need to know how much we hate Cloud and Aerith.
Well, it's not a hate thing. I mean, yeah,
I'm
did
not
spam
gonna say
us.
I hate it. I'm not gonna say I hate it. I do not agree with it because, again, like I said, the amount of shit that Tifa has fucking put up with in the lifetime that she has known Cloud,
Yeah.
and she is still always there for him, always got his fucking back, always trying to keep everyone together. She's the fucking rock.
And not just that, she's a badass.
She's the glue that held that entire team.
She is the rock that sheltered the group through the storm.
Especially when Cloud did his thing when he went nuts, pretty much he was in a wheelchair. Like, she was there for him throughout the entire thing, and that shows like mad props for her. Like, to try to wheel him out when the whole freaking place was exploding. For those who are, spoiler alert, if you haven't played 7, I feel bad. I'm sorry. We're spoiling some stuff. But
No,
the game's been out
fix
since 1997, so you guys have had plenty of time at this point.
If you haven't played it, go play it.
Mm-hmm.
If
7 is the best Final
if you
Fantasy of
have
all
not
time.
played Final Fantasy VII, stop. Just stop now. Turn off the podcast.
No, don't turn off
Go
the podcast.
play Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah,
Play
you
7
can. Okay.
while listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
No.
As we give away.
Turn off the podcast. Go play 7. Then come back to the podcast later.
Alright, guys, I'll be right back to go play the original then.
But
No, you're staying right here.
Though. But you have played it though. So Zach,
you don't count. You're part of the fucking podcast.
Dang it!
You're not some random viewer just listening to it at home. You're part of this shit show.
Welcome to Insanity. Can I take your seat?
Now.
No, stop, Zen. All right, Doug. Once
No
you say
matter
your
how
review,
much you try, it's not going to.
I would rather hear what Zen has to say first before I go on my tangent because mine is going to be lengthy, very lengthy.
We talk about.
Do try to cut it down just because we are. This is not meant to be one of our bigger segments, really.
Yeah, I know.
This was meant to just be a touch on things and move on.
Yeah. All right, Zen, go ahead.
We're talking about the remake, right?
Yes.
Haven't watched a single damn thing.
Really?
And I have a reason, and I have told you this before.
He doesn't want spoilers. Yes, all right.
Yeah, I want to play the original first. I feel like that's an obligation than playing the remake. And for me, I don't want, like, I know some of the story of 7, obviously, but I don't want certain things ruined for me. And then I also want to play the remake. I want to compare the original to the remake. Like, I did that with Link's Awakening. And it's just such a good feeling to do that. Like, I never played the original of Link's Awakening, but my dorm mate did. And we're comparing things. And it was just, it's such a good feeling to do it that way. So I definitely want to do it with 7.
I totally agree. It's like when I played Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon, the original, and then I played the remake and was disappointed. It's such a good feeling when you realize the original.
Yeah. You like to compare and see what's different. You get to see what they, integrated that might have not worked before.
Or even like some elements that are just better.
Yeah.
And all right, well then, Leroy, without going into too much detail and giving away too much.
So, a little backstory. So, I've never gotten emotional with playing a game before, like as much as I did when I first turned this game on. I got super emotional. I brought me right back to junior high, like just the first scenes of the game. It felt like you're playing the game again. Right back to junior high, that's all I did in junior high was play this game. 7. All I did. Literally from morning from time before we went to school to the time when I got home from school, I played Final Fantasy 7. I beat the game 4 or 5 times. I have racked in 300 hours per playthrough.
Yep.
This game means a lot to me. And to be able to play the remake finally, I mean, I got emotional with Advent Children. I was super, I remember I was sitting with my ex-girlfriend. She bought me the game. Well, she bought me the movie for my birthday. And we sat there and we watched it together. And she's like, why are you getting emotional? I'm like, you have no idea what this franchise means to me.
Leroy, I could just imagine you just holding her hand tightly and she thinks it's all romantic. And he's like, why are you getting emotional? This game means a lot, okay?
Yeah, fuck off. Fuck off, bitch.
Now, Leroy, before we
In that case, it
continue,
would have been this movie.
Yeah.
so Leroy, before we continue, I have to ask you something. Who is your favorite character so you can explain to our viewers who it is?
Vincent Valentine's my favorite character. He is the most
Such an
tragic.
edgelord, but he's the coolest edgelord.
His backstory, without giving away too much, like I don't want to ruin it for Zen or anyone who hasn't played. It's hard if you don't know where to find Vincent. He's one of those characters in the game where you literally have to find him to get him part of your party. You have to keep going back and forth. And if anyone message me on Twitch or on our Discord of how to get him, if you're in that point in the game, like where the hell can I get Vincent? Message me because I will walk you through it. Vincent is my favorite character in the game. His backstory is so tragic and it actually matters to the story. His backstory matters severely to the story. Like
Unlike the
It
other
does.
special character.
yeah. Well, Yuffie's fun. I like Yuffie too, but I hate the fact they try shipping them together because I think Vincent's like 80 years old. Vincent's
He's like really old.
he's like in his 60s.
And she's like,
but he looks like he's
she's
20.
like 16.
Vincent is pretty much a vampire for anyone who doesn't know. He's pretty much a vampire, pretty much.
Oh no, Leroy. It's the running gag that people think he's a vampire.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's the running gag.
Yeah,
He's a vampire.
the running gag is that people think Vincent's a vampire. He is actually not. He's just been experimented on and shit, and he ages slower.
Yeah, and he's pretty much immortal almost. So, now getting back to
Vincent had, in my opinion, some of the more entertaining limit breaks in Final Fantasy VII.
Yes.
Real quick, before you continue, Leroy, can I tell the viewers about something funny about Vincent?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, Vincent Valentine, by the way, was a last-minute project in Final Fantasy VII. His actual original personality is that he was supposed to be a ladies' man that hit on everybody, and everybody was supposed to find him obnoxious. But since they threw that out, they decided to make him a more, I want to quote-unquote say, edgier character.
Yeah.
When I say about edgy, I want to talk about depressing. The reason why is because Square Onyx was when it was called, or no, my bad, Square Soft.
Yeah, Squaresoft.
Is what it was called.
Yeah, it was
Back
Squaresoft.
then.
It's now Square Enix.
So basically, Squaresoft said, okay, we don't need another funny character because we got Yuffie. So they wanted to make a more serious character, which is Vincent. And in my opinion, if you ask me, I think, Doug, you can agree, or Leroy, my bad. You can agree that he is better as a depressing character than a funny ladies' man because it works with the story.
I think he's one of the best characters in the game.
Absolutely.
I think they should have given him a lot more. With the backstory they gave him, they should have kept him. I hope what they do with the remake is they keep him as a central character. Because they didn't have children.
I heard about the remake that they were going to build like more backstory and make him like a mandatory character. But that's just what rumors went up.
So allow me to continue now. Mind you, I had the game down. I originally had the game pre-ordered through GameStop, but obviously the quarantine, I couldn't get it. So what I did was I downloaded on my PS4. I waited till midnight for it to come out. I literally preloaded it on my PS4, and I played it. And I got super emotional. I loved it. Just the opening scenes, what they added to it was everything just looked beautiful and fit. I felt like I was watching Advent Children in certain parts, because if you look at 7, you look at Midgar, it looks like it's just a really blocky, obviously because it's the graphics back there, but even then you couldn't really see much like a civilization. With this, you can see it. Like you see, okay, this is actually a place where people actually live. Before, it didn't really feel that believable. To me, when playing 7, that Midgar was really a place where people were living. When the first couple scenes of 7, like I know Lobo watched the intro with me. I know some people who are listening did too. I know there's a couple of names on the viewing list.
Well, to be fair, even then back then, it was just so hard to believe. It was like, oh, the year is 1997, the same year it came out. Hold on, it looked like modern day to me.
So the issue I was having was, the thing I loved, the fact they made it more human. It felt like Midgar was more human than it was, and it really made you feel like, okay, maybe they are sucking the life out of the planet to make you, to make this, this world, this city, pretty much. And they added in a lot of stuff too. I'm not going to give away spoilers, but when you're playing through it, and they kind of cut into this little small scene that you didn't see in the beginning, but then when they cut in frame by frame of the original opening, that's when I got emotional. I'm like, they actually did this. They actually pulled this off, and in my opinion, they did. I was mad when I finally realized this was only part 1. I'll give it to you. I effed up. I didn't do my research, whatever. But this game is phenomenal. Like, the combat system is amazing. It is 15, but better. I think the combat system in this game is better than 15. I think they took 15 and went, all right, that's a good idea, but you know what? I'm going to make this better. And they did. They nailed it. Absolutely. The combat was so much fun. The voice acting was amazing. The Jesse is actually attractive in this one. Like even the character artwork they had for originally wasn't like okay whatever. But now like I see people on Reddit making not safe for work pictures of her now, like all over the place. And now they're calling her best girl in Final Fantasy series. Which
I
I'm not
highly
gonna say what
doubt
happened.
that,
But
because to me,
I'm
Yuna's
not gonna
best
say.
girl.
I know, but I'm not gonna
Yes,
say what
I've
happened.
seen a lot of the posts you're talking about.
Yeah.
They're talking about, Jesse went from just a side character to being an actual contender.
Yeah, pretty much. She's now
As
top
we do
tier
this,
Final
I am
Fantasy
looking up
waifu
this
list.
not safe for workplace stuff.
Oh my god, Sprinkles. So I thought it was interesting because they took this one character and they took her from mediocre, not really know much about her, to now top tier Final Fantasy waifu list. It was crazy.
Yeah.
They made her believable. She was flirting with Cloud, like joking around with him, and now she becomes the third character. People say that they could ship with Cloud now. And you have a lot more interaction with Jesse in Remake. I'm only about a couple hours in Remake. I had to put it down because I have other games I'm highly invested in right now. I know Part 2 of Remake won't come out for a while, so I know I have time to play it.
Hey
So that's why
Leroy.
yo,
So when I typed in Jesse, the first thing that popped up was Final Fantasy VII Remake on the suggestion bar.
exactly. See? Exactly. Exactly. That's my point.
And
exactly.
you weren't lying. She is kind of gorgeous. But then again, I wouldn't ship her with Cloud because Cloud Tifa is OGP.
Yeah, well, we all know that. But anyway, so the game itself, the combat system was amazing. The graphics were great. The voice acting was on point. I believe, don't quote me, a lot of the dialogue was the same from the original. It's hard for me to remember dialogue, it really is, unless it's something funny that I can't forget. Barrett felt like Barrett. Cloud felt like how I imagined Cloud's voice would be in the game. Every character felt amazing. The fact those side missions you can do in Section 7, the fact that the Southern Heaven looked amazing. Everything about that game was fantastic. Like the materia system. Dude, when you put up materia in Cloud Sword, you can see the color blinking. Like in Cloud Sword. It was amazing.
That's pretty cool.
The detail was amazing. The thought they put in this game. This game's a 40-hour game, and you only go through the first 5 hours of the original game. That's what they're doing
Okay,
with
so
this.
to our viewers though, how would you what would you rate a what out of 10 so far?
10 out of 10.
Of the remake, you sure you want to give a score that high? Because,
Yes. Yes.
do you think it's better than the original?
No. I don't think it's better.
Do you think it's up there?
Yes. I think it's because I give Final Fantasy VII is a 10 out of 10 for me. Every day of the week, twice on Sundays.
Twice
10
on Sundays.
10
This guy.
Listen, my grandfather used to have a saying, I jerk off every day, twice on Sundays. So that's the quote I'm using here. So, twice on Sundays, dude. I fucking will recommend this game to anyone, even if you're new to the Final Fantasy franchise. You have a chance to play Remake first because you can't get a hold of 7 for some reason. Only $14 on PSN Network, $14 on Steam, free in some pirating sites. Lobo. So, you have the
I
chance to
have
play.
no idea what you speak, good sir.
I
Imagine
agree.
FBI open up.
I agree with Zen's perspective, though. If you've never played 7, you have plenty of time to play the remake. Play through 7. You don't have to 100% it. At least get all the main characters. Well, at least play the entire game. Get Vincent. You don't have to get Yuffie, but definitely get Yuffie. And play through the game, and then play the remake. The remake is so good. If this is the direction they're taking the rest of the series, I am overly excited. I am overly excited to see what they can do with Vincent, Sid, Yuffie, and everyone else who's going to be introduced right after you leave Midgar, because I believe that's the only three or four other ones you see afterwards. And there's other new characters they're adding to in the game as well, who I haven't seen yet, but I've heard through Reddit and whatnot. But I would highly recommend you get the remake. It's definitely worth all the hype. It's definitely worth the $60. I don't care. People say, "Oh, it's not worth $60 for part 1," dude. It's a game itself. It really is. It's
So,
worth the
Leroy,
$60.
are you prepared for cross-dressing?
I've seen the pictures, and I was originally trying to get to that point before this podcast, my whole point was to get to that point, but then, like I said, I have other commitments I want to take care of first. And oh my god, it's in this.
I mean, it better be because it's
It
like,
is. It
remember?
is.
Do you remember the original? It's not really a spoiler, but remember how in the original Tifa and Eris is saying how gorgeous Cloud looks as a
Oh
girl?
my
I still
god.
laugh about that.
Yeah, to this day, it's still funny. All right, we should probably move on to our next topic, though. We should
So our
definitely.
next topic was entitled "Quarantine Life." This is just four of us kind of shooting the shit, discussing
What we're all up to.
what we've been doing during quarantine, how we've been coping with this fucking shit show of a fucking situation that the world has fucking thrown at us in 2020.
Let's start with Zen. I feel like it's a good choice.
Start with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy.
So for
Everybody
those
get their
who
popcorn ready.
hold on, let me do a little introduction here. So for those of you who do not know, Zen was a college student majoring in film when
Yep.
all this, this whole coronavirus pandemic fucking hit hit the fan. Obviously, he can't go back to school. He's having to finish up everything from home.
Should I start from the beginning?
Yeah. So take it from there.
So when the virus started hitting, it was actually the worst time. I was on spring break, and I think it was
That's pretty rough.
Thursday, like my last Thursday, the college announced we're extending spring break for another week. I'm like, all right, well, that's predictable. And they had time, to come. They said you can come to your dorm for one day only to get some stuff, prepare for 3 weeks. Because they were prepared it was going to get worse. Like, go up, get my stuff. 2 days later, they announced the college is officially closed for the rest of the semester. I had to go back and get all of my stuff. Now, as Lobo said, I am a film major. And this is a huge problem for a film major because I was in my final class for my major, which required you to make a short film, which is 15 minutes. We had budget and everything, all down the drain. Of course, all my classes have shifted to online mode. One of my classes tripled the work. And it's just insane how some professors think, oh, we're online, this is easier, and it's not. And then you guys will love this. I don't think I've told you this. The entire film department, not including my professor who tried fighting against this, said we still had to make our film. We can't have actors, and we can't have anybody in our group. We had to film on our own and only on your own.
So we're supposed to do like the Blair Witch Project?
I have to make a 15-minute film with whatever I have, including editing, on my own.
I mean, you could just make a film about the Twitch session.
You pretty much could, like, hey, we're doing a podcast. Let's do a film session.
Yeah, podcast. Just have us be like, hey, have it like Full House, all of us like, what's up, dude?
It's just super hard for a film student to do that because we can't go out. Luckily, I'm doing a lot of nature shots in some abandoned places.
So Blair Witch Project.
Pretty much. But
Next thing it happens is a girl standing in a corner.
The other thing that happened was for me, I took a game design class and the board game I had pitched got picked. Like I was going to make my board game this semester. Not anymore. So I have to make a single player game, which is the only assignment now because this is my only professor, I mean besides my film professor that is actually letting the work. My other professors have like tripled or doubled the work for no reason. And as a student, that's really hard to do at home.
Wouldn't you
Because I
think
also have
that
my
make it
father
harder for
that's
them
home.
too?
It is harder for them. And I just don't understand it because
maybe it's the school pushing it, dude.
I definitely know it's the school pushing it because I know the film department just doesn't want to owe. So a little background about my college. When you go for your degree, like for me, it's film degree. I'm a film major, which means I have access to a thing called EQ. EQ is that we can rent out equipment, state of the art cameras, light kit, microphone, all that stuff. Things you need to make a film. And as a film major, you pay like an extra tuition, if I remember, to use that equipment. Like you're paying to use that and the classes. They don't want to refund the students that. And instead of saying you need to take the class next semester, you have to complete it. And I thought it was just for advanced, right? Just for mine. That was the class. It was called advanced cinematography or whatever. And I thought it was just art class. No, there are classes that were intro class are told you need to make your film. And that's just insanity because they're greedy and they don't want to owe their students money.
That is pretty bad.
That's
It's
it. We're
really
riding out in the streets for you, Zen. Let's do this. Who has signs? It's like, no more classes. No. I think.
But it's actually really difficult to work at home as a student because my father also has to work at home and his job is very busy. I'm not gonna say what he does or anything, but it's very
Yeah,
important
we don't want no
when he needs
hired
to do
assassins
conferences.
listening in.
But it's really hard to get into a conference call from my classes and him doing his conference calls because his job is, more important than my schoolwork. And it's other than that, I've been playing games. I've actually caught up on one anime that I'm really glad I caught up on because they're changing the entire dub cast for no reason. But it is just a lot. It's really hard to be at home. Like I live in a small house too. I don't like being at home. I can get cabin fever, and ugh, I hate it. I'm just glad the semester's almost done.
Yeah, dude.
All
I'm
right.
I'm proud that you're like the one thing I want to say, and one of our viewers just said that, dude. I'm probably able to get that done because I could not do that, especially with schoolwork and stuff like that. Like I could not imagine sitting there trying to do classes, and your dad's in the other room with his conference calls, which are way more important than what you're dealing with, and just trying to get the shit done. It's like I couldn't do it, dude. I couldn't fucking pull that off at all. Like, good for you, dude. Good for the fact you can actually pull it off.
Well, thank you.
So, can I go next?
I mean,
Go right ahead.
yeah, I think you have the shit in the stick out of all of us, to be honest with you.
I really do have the shit and the stick at everybody. So
Do you want to tell?
basically,
You want to
like,
tell people where you used to? Well, not where, but what you used to do for a living.
I used to be a prep cook at a restaurant. Basically, I prepare your food. I sometimes cook, and sometimes I occasionally dishwash. It's nothing like crazy. I'm labeled as a dishwasher, but like to everybody else, I'm just like the head prep cook because no one else wants to do it. We get it. It's a shit job. Uh, so basically, I've been home and I've been told right away as soon as I got home from quarantine. I'm just like, yo, apply for unemployment. I was like, all right, I'll do that. And I did, and I got denied. Just like out of all people, I get denied for unemployment.
Which I still don't
It's just,
understand. Like, I got mine, so I applied for unemployment like way
I
before.
mean, Leroy, it's just Leroy. You get approved of everything. I could walk up to you and be like, Leroy, can you be my dad? And you'd be like, yeah, sure, see, approved. I mean, he is my adopted dad. Inside joke.
Yeah, inside joke.
That's another inside joke, but that's beside the point.
Yeah, Zen 2. I adopted Zen 2. That's like Uncle Leroy, apparently.
Dad.
But
Hi,
So
Dad.
basically, I'm a 24-year-old dude. I work at a restaurant, the food industry. So when the coronavirus hit, it was like I was thinking in my head, I'm like, it's probably gonna hit us first. We're gonna get laid off, and we did. Like we had our last day, and I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, oh, this is awesome. I get some time off because if anybody's worked in the restaurant industry, getting time off is a nightmare. You have like if you just like, oh, I want to go on vacation to go somewhere, they're like, oh, you got that covered? I was like, no, I don't. Like, oh, we'll see you at 9. And it's just like that type of deal.
yeah,
And
that's
I'll
bullshit.
I'll just be and at home. I've just been reading comic books. Like if anybody knows me personally, I'm a huge comic nerd, mostly DC, but I won't get into that. And I've been rewatching Batman Beyond because a little side note, it's my favorite cartoon of all time. You can ask these guys in here how much I love
And
that
as another side note, he has a currently highly successful Batman Beyond roleplay going on the Amino app. If anyone's interested, message.
Yeah, and it is super successful, and I am a huge Batman Beyond nerd and DC nerd, but I won't get into that. It's not what the podcast is about. It's about my quarantine life. And at home, it's been pretty quiet. My parents tell me that I need to do something, and I tell them no. Pretty productive. And it's really hard because like when you think you have like this vacation, you're like, I'm gonna go do stuff. You're like, I should go to like hang out with my friends. I'm like, oh wait, no, I can't. I should do this. No wait, I know I can't. I want to go to a Smash tournament. No, I can't.
Yeah,
It's like
for someone who's a extrovert like you, it's really hard for someone to just jump out and be like, okay, I'll go someplace. Oh wait, everything's closed. Fuck.
for those who don't know me, before the quarantine thing, besides the restaurant, I was not a top Smash player, but I was a Smash player who was top 25 in the world for Ganondorf. I used to travel around to tournaments, and I'm basically semi-retired. I'm not saying like, oh, I just quit. No, I just didn't want to do it anymore because I have a job. I couldn't do it.
And the salty atmosphere, but we're not
Oh
going to
my
get into
god.
that.
We won't get into the salty atmosphere. All I'll tell you guys is basically you're gonna have a lot of salty people. We're the second most saltiest scene in all of video games, right below League of Legends.
Yeah.
And now we'll go into our buddy Lobo.
Alright, so I'm going to preface this by saying 2019, shittiest fucking year on record for me. I'm not going to go into whole details, let's just leave it at this was the shittiest.
Sucked for you.
2019 was the shittiest fucking year going for me. 2020 rolls around, things start to, looks like things are starting to come back around my way. I finally got a nice job offer for a really nice job working at a substance abuse and alcohol rehab facility in Plymouth. Only to then find out that I couldn't because of issues from a previous job from almost 5 years ago. So, once again, it seemed like, everything just got kicked out from underneath me.
Lobo, can I say something real quick?
Feel free.
It's funny because when you mentioned 2020, so Resident Evil 6 takes place in 2020, and you're in China and you're dealing with something called the C virus.
Oh no!
Yeah, here we go.
Like, how coincidental is that to you? Do you think that's kind of funny to you?
No. Did you see the company that's helping in China with the virus?
Oh my god! And they had the same logo as the Umbrella Corporation.
Yeah.
Dude, I wanted to blow my brains out. I was like, yo, stop.
All right. Anyways, continue, Lobo.
So, anyways, I have been stuck at home with my family, which, let me get a little more detailed on family here, because it's me, my little brother, and his girlfriend, who I absolutely love having around. His girlfriend has been really a blessing in all this because she's helping out with everything around the house. She's trying to keep our parents from flipping out on him all the time because Oliver will just kind of walk around and just drop things as he goes and forget about them until, days later.
7 days later.
Yeah, he gets involved in stuff he's working on. I should also mention Oliver is very artistically inclined. He's very artwork. He's trying to learn more. Working, he's doing collage. He's trying to learn watercolors. So every day he's sketching something, painting something, cutting different pieces of magazine pictures up and to rearrange them to make a picture.
Sounds like the guy from Silence of the Lambs with the lotion in the basket already.
No. You've met my little brother, Sprinkles. He's a lot like
he came up and hugged me, and I was just like, how do I respond?
He's a lot like you.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
I said.
I'm about to say, Sprinkles.
Whoa. Nobody's like
You're the
me.
biggest hugger
I
know my entire life. You hug everybody.
Alright, that is absolutely true.
Are you fucking kidding me? Everyone sat here and looked at me and said, how did you create another... Because we were all here having a bonfire at my place. And they all looked at me and said, okay, how did you create Sprinkles 2.0?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, but to be fair, the original was always better. I just had to say that.
So anyways. And I have absolutely no problems with Oliver beginning of last year, he and I worked a job up in up New Hampshire, Maine, and we were living up there for 2-3 months almost. So it was just me and him in the house, and it was no problems, no issues. He's great to live with. He's a great guy, great kid. Then we have my mother. My mother is I don't want to say retired because she didn't actually officially retire. My mother used to work as a respiratory therapist. And she is now working for cash under the table at a farm stand.
So wait, she's a retired therapist, so she could deal with my problems.
No. Respiratory therapist, Sprinkles.
And
loud as
there
if I
isn't
have
a
breathing
therapist to help
problems.
you out, dude.
There isn't a therapist on the face of this fucking planet that can help with your problems.
That is.
Dang it.
I'll drink to that.
You make me
Same.
want to drink. What the heck?
Lemon Coke down the tubes.
Shot a screwball.
My bottle of Jack Daniels is just staring at me.
All right, so if anyone doesn't know, we're all actually drinking at this point. I'm currently drinking, for those who are just tuning in, we're currently drinking Jack and Coke. Zen, are you drinking, or are you not drinking?
He's eyeballing his bottle of Jack. He hasn't opened it yet. Do it.
No,
Give in. Give in.
The big bottle's empty, and I don't want to open the new one. And I have Kraken, but I don't want to drink Kraken straight out, and I don't have Coca-Cola because
Oh yeah.
this
See, that's a
virus
problem.
Says I can't drop.
I have.
See, that's why you just need a shot of Jack.
See, I have Kraken too, actually, on hand, and I was tempting to drinking some, but I went with regular Captain Morgan because I'm saying the Kraken's for tomorrow night.
Yeah, not just that.
I like
Leroy's
Captain better than Kraken.
responsible.
I'm
We're
responsible.
responsible?
Compared to like Lobo and I, you're more responsible than everybody. Because
Who,
when
me?
I started drinking, there's a difference.
Yeah.
Yes. No, the other guy named
Oh.
Leroy. Who the hell do you think?
I'm probably the least responsible person here, but not the point.
Okay, I don't know what fantasy world you live in, but anyway.
So,
I mean, I live in a fantasy world called Amino. I'm pretty popular there. All right, I have my dreams. Okay, I'm gonna go cry in a corner. Jesus Christ.
yeah,
Well,
go cry in the
You
corner.
do that.
Hey, if we're gonna get off topic, can you quickly look in the meme chat?
No, I'm afraid to. When it comes to memes, dude, it's usually
Oh my
something
God.
offensive or something to do with this is the way.
My child has gotten evolved.
Evolved like Pokemon? This kid doesn't even have any badges.
Can you
It's so
put that on the stream so everybody can see it somehow?
I am working on that right now, actually. I'm working on trying
Perfect.
to download
Everybody
it right now.
needs to see it.
Let me see. How do I save the picture? There we go. Hang on.
Hey,
Save image preview. And
like
then...
I have this. I'm just gonna keep adding things to it. Like I'm not even gonna save the layers on purpose. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna make it worse and worse.
By the way, this exact version is going to end up being your avatar when we start doing this thing for the logo, by the way, just to let you know.
Oh, hey, we have a question in the chat. By
Oh,
the
do
way.
we?
Dude,
So
I
serious
can't see
question,
Twitch
how long
because
you
I'm a
quarantine?
dummy.
I mean, it kind of it's scary. People are dying, but it seems like a lot of people who are older are dying, and it's scary as hell. To be honest with you, I mean, our state right now is at its peak. I mean, we're not like New York right now. When New York is just literally everyone's dying every fucking day, and tons of people are dying every day. I have a friend actually who was listening who just had coronavirus herself, but it's pretty bad. It's scary, but the same part too is just like as long as you're taking care of yourself, you like I go a lot like we'll get into to my quarantine story, which actually should that we'll segue that into my part. If that's okay with you, Alex.
Well, I'll get to that in a minute, actually, because there's going to be a lot of things. You and I are going to have a lot of parallels.
What about me? You still my chopped liver? Cool.
Yep.
So
I mean, it makes sense. It's me.
my next point is actually going to play into this question a little here.
Oh, jeez, you got me scared.
Because we thought, there's my mother, and my mother was a respiratory therapist. And God damn it, Leroy.
It's alive.
My child.
Anyways, continue.
And my mother's feelings are
Not relevant.
no. My mother's more of in the camp of, what's gonna happen, even if we do follow this quarantine and everyone, hunkers down for 2-3 weeks at straight, and no one goes out. And yes, it's going to flatten the curve. Yes, there's going to be less cases. But the way she's looking at it, from having worked as a respiratory therapist, and for those of you who don't know, respiratory therapists specialize in dealing with stuff like this, respiratory diseases.
Yeah.
And
I want to get a respiratory disease so Lobo's mom can hear me.
she doesn't do that job anymore.
Oh.
Like I said,
so you're trying to say she don't like me? Okay, I see how it is. I'm a riot.
Go back to your corner.
Wow, why do you gotta put me in the corner, huh? Just because I cry all the time? Jeez.
Yes. Anyways.
Mom's feelings are, sure, you're going to do that, but then, everyone's going to come out and it's going to blow right back up.
Yeah.
Now, my stepfather, on the other hand, my stepfather is, I guess the best way I can put this, my stepfather is borderline psychotically paranoid about this.
Well, I
my little brother, I can
of.
see a lot of where he's coming from, but at the same time, the way the day usually goes is he'll go to work. He leaves for work like 3:30, 4:30 in the morning, gets home 2-3 in the afternoon.
Lobo sounds like a psychopath right now. He's just like, I know this guy's schedule.
The first fucking thing he does is he walks in, sits down on the fucking couch in the living room, and he will sit there and watch the news, and watch the news, and watch the news. And he will get so fucking wound up from watching the news.
I think that's our biggest issue right now. Is a lot of people are watching the news. I'm not saying they're overblowing this whole thing up, because that's definitely not the case, but it's making people more anxiety out. My mom gets so anxiety out about it. I feel so bad for her because she's afraid, because I'll get into what my quarantine.
This is why I said there's going to be a lot of parallels.
Yeah.
Because then it comes back to, like I said, I'm out of work as well, because the bullshit with that. That's a whole nother fucking story, which we'll save for another time, maybe. But anyways, because I'm out of work, I'm being treated like the fucking house bitch.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I mean, my parents call me a bitch, but I'm not no house bitch.
No, that's just me.
Alright, so to answer your question of how paranoid is too paranoid, I think the levels my stepfather is taking it to are too paranoid.
Yeah.
Like, he, like I said, comes home and he watches the news and he gets wound up, ramped up, and he goes ballistic if you so much as need to run to the store.
Right.
Like, my little brother, like I said, is very artistically inclined. He's also, like Sprinkles, very energetic. Doesn't like to be cooped up and confined and stuck in one place.
What are you talking about? I like being in my bedroom.
You're full of shit. Now shut up.
I mean, I have to go to the bathroom, but it does not mean anything.
So I think so the next question our viewer asked was how paranoid is.
That's what I was just answering. Is where's the line?
Yeah,
so
where is
the line for me is, like my little brother, as I was saying, likes to go. He goes out, but he doesn't, just go off and do whatever. He's going out to Miles Standish State Forest and going on fucking nature walks or longboarding in the state forest. He's still avoiding people, but he's able to go out and do something and get, out of the house. And my stepfather is very much, well, he's, this is fucking ridiculous. He shouldn't be fucking leaving the house.
Yeah.
Honestly, no. The one who has the biggest chance of putting us in jeopardy is actually him, because one of the guys he works with tested fucking positive, and when he came on it, he came home and announced that down for 2 weeks. There was 2 weeks straight just to make sure that no one showed symptoms. That we didn't go out, we didn't do a bunch of shit. And now we've passed that, and my little brother still wants to be able to go out, ride his bike, go for walks. He goes to like the fucking nature preserves and takes long walks and draw.
Yeah.
And my stepfather is still, like I said, getting pissed off. He's going ballistic. This is fucking ridiculous. Fucking. Like today, my mother asked him to go get fucking almond milk for her, and he wouldn't.
Yeah.
So that fell on us to then run to the store and get it. And, we're getting fucking dirty looks for it.
So I'll do mine real quick because mine's pretty much along the same lines as his, but kind of a little bit opposite. My mom is freaking out about it, but she's still making me go. So a little background. My mom is type 2 diabetic, and the from what I've been reading the news articles, I could be wrong, but my mom's been reading too because she goes ballistic when she reads all the stuff. She overly reads about it, but she knows that she's very susceptible to getting this. My father, who also just had 2 major surgeries this year, and just beat cancer, is very susceptible to it as well. So they send me out. Yeah. So they send me out being the adult. A little background on me: I'm a single father. I live with my parents with my 4-year-old daughter, who's a spitting image as me, but a Tasmanian devil.
Understatement.
I mean, that's absolutely true right there.
Yeah. So
understatement.
So I moved home with my parents about 4, almost 5 years ago, and my daughter followed suit afterwards, moving with me, and we've been living here ever since. So it's been quite interesting. So I'm not going to go into my story too much. It's a story the listeners don't need to hear, and the people in this podcast don't need to hear. But so I'm out of work. I'm actually a auto mechanic. I work at a Ford dealership. I'm currently furloughed until May 7th or May 4th, I think, one of the 2 dates, whatever. And I'm being sent out to go do these errands, which is fine. I don't mind doing them. I actually enjoy getting out of the house for a little bit. Anything that gets the ankle biter up, stop biting my ankles is pretty nice. Mind you, I love hanging out with my kid. But
Sorry, Doug, I bite your ankles.
But every parent needs a little bit of a break. So I've been pretty much just doing these errands for them. I've had the face mask on. I have the N95 face mask. I have gloves. We have special stuff we use to clean the masks with. We have special stuff we use to clean the gloves with whenever I go out. Mind you, I was up until last week. I was going out like 2-3 times a week for my parents.
So Leroy,
Yeah.
sounds like you're getting prepared for an apocalypse over there with all that equipment.
Yeah.
Might as well get in a containment suit.
Well, I have a lot more stuff than that here, but we're not going to get into that podcast.
Yeah, this guy's
That's
probably
from
got
the-
like AK-47s and bazookas ready.
No, nothing like that. But yeah. But so it's interesting, like how it is in our area, like where the 4 of us live in the country. I'm not gonna give away where we live in the country. I think Alex Lobo already kind of did. But we kind of live in smaller towns. I mean, kind of smaller towns. I mean, we don't live in cities, so we're not as susceptible to getting the diseases. Maybe New York or big cities like Boston, Austin, Texas, stuff like that, who are getting nailed with it. We're not getting them as much. So we're not getting them. I mean, mind you, residents of my town are still getting them, but people who are dying mainly are the elderly, the people who are susceptible to getting this disease and the respiratory part, which could affect them. Like people who have asthma, like myself, it's really susceptible to getting it, but people who have it really bad are dying of it. People who are pretty much, from what I've seen, and I could be wrong, don't quote me on it, people who are dying are elderly. People who are dying of this are people who have underlying conditions before the coronavirus hit them. But
Yes, that is the majority, I believe.
That's the majority.
Someone in the chat wants me to say sunflower, so I'm gonna say sunflower to make them happy.
All right. How about I say sunflower as well?
No, you can't say that. That's my line. Say something different. Say chrysanthemum.
Chrysanthemum.
Yeah, that's right. Use that tongue, Doug. All right, never mind. Don't use that tongue because
Well, it's nice to have someone else who actually does this for a living.
So,
and appreciate your feedback.
Yeah, thank you.
Because this is our maiden voyage, basically. We're throwing this out there and seeing how this fucking goes.
I could quote Star Trek because you said voyage because Voyager.
No.
But I won't. Why not? Voyager's the best.
When the other listeners...
We don't discuss Lost in Space.
Anyways, when all of our listeners did actually put it out, I think, too, saying it's hard. The listener said ace like hat like that card.
Ace like that card.
Yeah.
Ace like that card. It's hard when you know someone / a coworker who has corona because everyone looks at you like you might have it when you don't. My coworker got it, and now the people in my life stare at me like I have it. This thing is crazy.
Yeah.
Shoutouts to Ace. That's in my Batman Beyond chat. I see you.
Yeah. What's up, Ace? This is Artemis and Alexander.
Alex.
Yeah, they were both in there too. What's up?
Yo, what's up?
So that's the fear is really what's getting people right now, and what I've seen, it's just, I mean, the majority of people in here have lived through a bunch of these supposed apocalypses that hit us so far.
Yeah, see, on the subject of the fear and stuff, my little sister, my adopted sister, I should say, Sophie works in an elder care facility.
Yeah.
And someone tested positive there. Nice.
Yeah.
Zen getting a shout out.
Yeah.
Well, what's up?
Yeah, we pimp chimping now.
No,
Zen, you need to stop before we. Zen, you're so lucky you don't live near me anymore because I'd slap the hell out of you.
He actually does now. He's actually back home, dude. So
back in town.
You are back in town. That's what I'm walking. See you there.
And the funniest part is that Sprinkles continued doing the podcast.
Yeah, I could
Zen because he's on his phone.
Watch. Zen goes like, "What the hell are you doing?" Slaps and walks home.
So yeah.
Sophie had to take 2 weeks off from that, get tested, and is within 2 days of being back to work, her roommate comes home and says, "Oh, a bunch of people at work got it." So now she has to once again go into quarantine, get tested.
I mean, I relate to that because my boy, my buddy Darno, who lives with us, he works at Lowe's, and literally somebody had corona, so we had to go to it was visit the hospital, so we did, and literally when we went inside the hospital, oh my god, dude, it was like a fucking movie. Everybody the security guy grabbed for his pistol, and all the nurses backed away. He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, sorry to interrupt, but I'd like to get tested for corona." Everybody freaked out. No one said anything, but you could tell on their expression leave the building. And they're like, you need to go visit your primary physician, really fast. And we're just like, all right, we're gonna head out.
Exactly. So my uncle might have it right now. That's another thing I was gonna bring up too. My uncle might have it. So he has to be quarantined in his room. Well, in him and my aunt's room for the next 2 weeks. And the only people that are really testing right now in our state is the first responders or people who definitely have it. And there's a drive-through system you can go through in some towns, but they don't have all the testing.
Yeah, they actually converted Zen's old school.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Cape Cod Community College has been converted to an entire drive-through testing facility. Oh. But you have to show up with a recommendation.
I was going to say I'll take a number 2.
The morgue at my current college.
There's that too. They converted a building at your current college into a temporary morgue.
Yeah, they converted the I think it's the sports and academic building, but they're using the ice rink in there, which is crazy because that building is actually pretty big. it's going to be weird going there because I want to go in that building before I graduate and knowing that was being
Watch.
used as a temporary morgue.
As soon as you step in there, this isn't even that interesting. You're just gonna be that guy. Like,
All right,
cool, I
so
stepped in this place.
so I'll finish my thing and move on to our next topic because we're dragging this thing on a little bit. So pretty much, I just have to run out and do all these errands and whatnot, and there isn't really like I'm seeing these lines at the grocery stores. They're doing these
Don't
lines.
even get me started.
I have to say, Shaw's. If you live in the New England area, Shaw's is fantastic. They're keeping up on. They're cleaning. The one near me is cleaning the carriages before they hand them to you. They count the people. Unfortunately, Walmart's not doing the same thing. They're kind of, they're kind of not. I think Lobo can test this too.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna answer the question in chat as well here.
Yeah. I think it's a good question too.
So, touching briefly on what Ace said, we had a guy at a Stop and Shop up the street from me. Guy was 65 years old. Was intentionally coughing and sneezing all over the fucking place.
Yeah.
Oh my god, just take me to hospital now, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And
He got tackled to the fucking ground, arrested and charged.
Real quick,
So-
someone wants me to give a shout out again.
I understand why people are afraid and asking people to leave if someone's coughing. And it sucks. The paranoia really sucks.
Oh, I know that feeling. As soon as I walk into Shaw's, if someone coughs, I'm like, alright, I'm out. See you later, guys. Like, I don't want to deal
Yeah,
with this.
like
It's
I'm saying,
crazy
the paranoia sucks. And to answer the question of, do I think that things will be the same after this is all over? No, I really don't.
yeah, it's gonna be really weird when this is all done though. With like, I'm really interested to see what's gonna happen with the general population. Are we gonna end up like Japan, where you see people still wearing? Well, I guess diseases are rampant over there anyways. Like stuff like this is rampant over there anyways because you see like these animes, movies, whatnot. People wearing face masks. Then this is like 10, 15 years before this shit even has even happened. Like Alex and I both played Persona 5 Royal. The game was.
I can tell you, working that brief stint I did working security in Boston at the Prudential Center at that building store,
Yeah.
all like 90% of, and I hate to generalize like this, but 90% of the people of Asian descent that came through the store or came through the Prudential Center were wearing face masks.
Yeah, and it's a really common thing over in Asia. So I have a feeling that it's going to be a common thing over in the U.S. now. We're going to see a lot of people do that too because of this. Because it took something like this to happen here. Mind you, nothing. I don't think even this disease in our lifetime has ever happened on this global scale before. I don't think even our parents' lifetime. So it's interesting to see what's going to happen afterwards. And
Can I say one thing real quick?
yeah,
I was just looking in the chat, and I'm sorry I missed this. Julia, who, if you don't know, is my girlfriend.
yeah, 19 cases at work. Holy
19
crap!
And
Where
I
does
just
she
wanna-
work?
Well, before I get to that, I just want to say I'm very proud of her for sticking it to the end and everything so far. She works at I keep wanting to say it's a retirement home, but it's not. But she deals with elderly people.
Kind of like what I said Sophie does, an elderly care facility.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
If she wants to say what she does, she can. I keep forgetting for some goddamn reason, but I'm very proud of her.
Yeah,
She's
that's a
really
hard
Question,
job to have.
Zen. I'll direct message you this because this is a little personal. Because
Okay.
I'm wondering if she might work at the same facility as Sophie.
But
Real
still-
quick, I have 2 shoutouts that people want me to say on Amino if you guys don't mind.
That's fine.
So the first one is Lois is best mod because, she was just like, yo, say I'm the best mod. I was like, okay. And the second one is, Starfire, you're my waifu. Don't think any different. It's going to my heart. All right, continue, guys.
Oh my god.
Dude, I'm telling you, dude, I'm popular.
Yeah, we know. We know. All right, so
Yeah, have you seen me? I'm gorgeous. Yeah, okay.
yeah,
I wouldn't go back.
I heard about that, and I don't want to get too far into that. I mean, it's things that there is racism all over the world, all over the.
There is, and I can actually.
I'm not surprised. I mean, I'm not surprised. I think it's horrible. I think it's stupid. People are being retarded. And
Yeah, like seriously. If it
I
doesn't affect
wholeheartedly
you-
agree with that statement. Lee.
But
Like,
as
here's
far
the
as I'm going
thing.
to go, one of the things we made in this podcast when we talk about doing this is we're not going to bring up politics, we're not going to bring up stuff of that stature in this podcast. But I think it's horrible. I think people need to realize, yes, it came from China. Yes, it's horrible. It's all over the world right now. You should not be
Yes,
attacking
Batman
Asians
has
for
something to
that.
do with it.
It's not, you can't, as they say, you can't just paint it all with a broad brush. It can't just be, oh, they're Chinese, so they must have it. I'm going to beat them. I have to beat.
Back to the fear thing too. It's the fear thing.
It does. And I remember reading cases of people canceling Uber drivers because their driver was Asian.
Yeah, exactly.
Yo, to
And
be
people,
fair though,
people sharing stories, just Uber drivers being so thankful just because over the fact that someone didn't cancel a ride. And I'm sitting, and even Jesus Christ, just in my own fucking house the other day, my stepfather, we ordered Chinese food, and he's all I don't know how I feel. Yeah, he's not for everyone. He's not for everyone. He's saying oh well I don't know how I feel about ordering Chinese food, and I don't have a problem with ordering takeout food, but I mean I don't have a problem with Chinese food, but Chinese people, and
it's bad.
I turned to my mother, and I looked at my mother, and I fucking told you.
Yep.
I looked right at her and I said, I fucking told you. And I say that, Julia.
But yeah, I have to go with what Ace just said. People use the virus to be racist. Yeah, it does.
Yes,
I'm not surprised.
people are using this as an excuse.
Yeah, and
it is disgusting.
And
you should hear what my dad says. My dad was just like, no, you want to hear this. You want to hear it. So my dad was just, I was like, I want to order some Chinese food. My dad was just like, if I get my food and I open out the bag and there's a cough, I'm suing. I died laughing.
Oh my god, that's horrible. So let's move on to another topic. We're gonna go from one dark topic to another. So in this podcast, we kind of do multiple different things. I don't think we really explained all the topics we cover in these podcasts. Alex, could you explain them real quick before we hop on to our next topic?
All right, so this was something I was going to cover at the intro. I did.
It happens.
And so this podcast, our idea is to cover pretty much every topic conceivable under the sun. Geek culture, nerd culture, video games, anime, tabletop gaming.
Anime, I don't know the meaning of the word.
Shut up, you fucking weeb. Yeah, shit like that, Ace, that's not cool. That's just that's just shitty people using this as an excuse to be shitty. But, no, another thing we're going to just, another thing, because I'm still a current fan, although, after recent events that...
Which we're not going to get into. But
which I can kind of briefly touch on as part of our quarantine life here, There have been talking about the massive layoffs and downs. I'm a wrestling fan. I have been since the days of Hulk Hogan and Jake the Snake Roberts sharing a ring. And a series that has come out in the last 2 years, that came out last year, and has continued into its second season this year, is called Dark Side of the Ring.
Oh my god, it's phenomenal.
Dark Side of the Ring touches on what they consider the dark secrets of wrestling. Some of the mysteries and stories.
It's pretty much, if you're not a wrestling fan and you want a really good mystery, a really good backstory that makes you go, what the fuck? These are the ones to watch. I highly recommend these videos to people who aren't wrestling fans. Just for the murder mysteries, the the backgrounds of what goes on behind the scenes of all this stuff is phenomenal. Like, I can guarantee you, if you don't like wrestling, but you like murder mysteries, they have something for you. Like, this series has been fantastic. Like I'm a big wrestling fan too. I was for many years. I've been kind of in and out for numerous years too. But this series really made me appreciate what these guys go through behind the scenes. And at the same time
No
too,
matter
also
how
the
much you,
crazy shit how it was back before it is now. The
yeah,
70s and
to
80s and
see
early
to
90s.
see
Holy
what it
crap.
was like, to
It was the
see what
Wild
it was
West.
like back then. It really was the fucking Wild West. The
Drugs were rampant.
territory,
Oh my god.
back in the days of the territories, and it
Before you know
was,
this big like productions you see like nowadays with WWE, it's just this crazy, the territories, the drugs, the steroids, the murders, it was the fucking Wild West. It really was. It was crazy.
but Dark Side of the Ring season 1. It's on a channel called Vice. You can look them up online, look them up on YouTube. I highly recommend, whether you're a wrestling fan or not, I very, very highly recommend getting into this series. It is extremely interesting. Their very first episode dealt with the relationship between the Macho Man Randy Savage and his wife at the time, Miss Elizabeth.
And then we jump ahead to season 2, and they did the Chris Benoit thing, the murder.
And
2 episodes.
season after they started season 2 off, and I'm not very emotional watch.
Yeah.
This was something that, sitting there and watching this and hearing them, wrestlers that I grew up watching, talking about, the connection between Chris and Eddie.
Yeah.
And for those who aren't familiar, I'm referring to Chris Benoit and Eddie
Guerrero.
And talking about the connection that Chris had with Eddie, and how after Eddie died, Chris just fell apart.
So, but we can bring that up on another podcast. That could literally be an entire podcast because that one was
that
2 parts. It was a long,
yeah.
long thing. It was amazing. Like I said, if you're not a fan of wrestling, but you want a good murder mystery, you want a good like, why the hell did this dude do this? Like that murder was publicized everywhere in the 2000s when Chris Benoit murdered his wife and kid. That was everywhere. Like
Killed his son, killed his wife, killed his son, and then killed himself.
yeah, it was a double homicide murder. So no, double homicide suicide. Sorry, and sorry, double murder suicide?
Yeah, it's a double murder suicide.
And it was fantastic. The whole documentary series is fantastic. It made you cry. It made you hate Chris Benoit, but made you feel like, wait, why did he actually do this? They brought in specialists for his brain and whatnot, but we can get into that a whole another time. This time around, let's talk about the one that came out this previous week, because
this past week, which was the murder of Nancy Argentino. Well, I shouldn't say murder because they didn't classify it yet. It was the death of Nancy Argentino, and for those who don't know the name, Nancy Argentino was the girlfriend of one Superfly Jimmy Snuka.
Probably one of the most famous wrestlers of all time. He was a massive wrestler in the 80s. My dad still talks about him, and my dad hates wrestling. He talks about Jimmy Snuka.
Jimmy Snuka was known for the crazy, crazy, crazy shit he would do. Party.
I think you cut out there, Alex.
I said he was Jeff Hardy before Jeff Hardy was even. He was
the first guy who jumped off.
He was the archetype that Jeff followed.
Pretty much, he was the wild man. They made him want to be kind of like a Tarzan type guy, and he was very famous. Like I said, my dad knew him. Like 1983, he was huge. He was almost bigger than Hulk Hogan. And
83 was the height of Snuka's career. And if I'm not mistaken, 83 is the down.
So what ended up happening was, can you give a little background about what they think happened with this? So we can kind of skim through this real quickly. Like, we're not going to make this a long segment, but just something we wanted to talk about real quick.
Hey, we got a question in
No,
No, we're not pimp chipping.
chat.
we're not going to acknowledge that.
Yo, we pimp chimp and dab swag.
Oh my
No.
god.
So,
So
anyways,
for those who don't know who Nancy Argentino is, I'm gonna show the picture of her too because I did actually. If people who are wondering at home, I'm actually controlling the images you guys see on the screen. I'm actually controlling the
yeah,
recording
do you
and
want to
most of
get
it.
that cursed image out from behind the fucking picture?
Never. No, that picture is staying there for like ever.
It is my child. We can't
So
ignore my
the woman you
child.
see on the right is Nancy
It's not up yet.
Argentino.
There we
Um,
go.
and the gentleman on the left is Superfly Jimmy Snuka. And they had a very strange relationship. Jimmy himself pretty much grew up on the streets. They don't really give much about his background besides the fact that they don't know where he grew up, they don't know where he slept, and then suddenly he's a superstar in the WWE. He grew up in Hawaii.
And
That's really all
another
they
thing to
give.
touch on at this point is Jimmy was married.
Yeah. Oh yeah, too. That's the thing. He was married when he was dating her too.
Jimmy was married, and he used the fact that he worked for WWF at the time, and that he was on the road more often than he wasn't. He used this to lead a double life. He was dating Nancy Argentino, who did not know that Jimmy was married.
Yeah, and then when
And
she
so,
found out, and then when she found out, she still kept dating him too, and said, "Oh yeah, well he's married," but yeah, that was pretty much what she said. So, because I remember one of the segments they're talking to one of the sisters, and they asked her about the fact, "Oh, you know that Jimmy's married." He said, "Yeah, well he is," and like, "What are you doing? Get out of there!" And she didn't. And Jimmy had been a coke hound, hard back in the day. Like, they're so bad. His whole wrestling manager didn't want to tour with him anymore because they said Jimmy's a sweet guy, but he's a maniac when he's all coked up. Because all he did all day long was cocaine.
yep.
So, mind you,
Who
1983
was
kind of was
who
fun.
was the manager for it?
I forget now, but why don't you look that up and I'll continue. So what ended up happening was they were dating for a while. Nancy became pretty much his babysitter on the road. Vince hired Nancy to
Because
be his
his
babysitter.
manager didn't want to do it anymore.
No, he got fed up. He said,
Buddy Rogers. It was
Yeah,
Buddy Rogers.
yeah,
Buddy Rogers went to Vince McMahon and said, I can't do this anymore.
So,
Because Snuka was, as Leroy said, in his back seat, ripping coke, was out of control on the road. He was going to matches coked
it
up.
really
He was
does destroy
missing
people.
matches.
I agree with D-Max. Coke does destroy people. And the 80s was rampant. Rampant. I don't know anybody who lived through that time that didn't do Coke. That did do Coke that's still kind of a halfway decent person nowadays. I know a lot of
Yeah,
people
I
who
also heard that wrestlers used to get paid more for like going underneath the ring and like slicing their wrist with like razors just to get paid more because the more you
Blading.
bled them,
Yeah,
yeah,
blading.
the more you
It
bled
wasn't.
was like the more you get
It
like.
It
wasn't
wasn't
wrists.
that they'd cut their wrist. They would take.
Heads.
It was their foreheads usually.
Yeah.
Which is why when you look at guys like as much as it's gonna fucking disgust me to bring this up, look at Abdullah the Butcher.
I'll get a picture of him
Now,
on our chat in a second. So.
mind you, I consider Abdullah the Butcher to be one of the biggest steaming piles of human shit walking the face of. Well, I can't even say walking because the fat fuck can't walk anymore.
Yeah,
Abdullah the
very
Butcher's
strong.
a piece of shit. Abdullah bladed and didn't tell people when blading them that he had Hep C.
Yeah, he's a piece of shit. Like,
So he would cut himself, and the blade would be, obviously tainted with his blood, and he would then cut his opponent, and did not tell his opponent that he had hepatitis C.
yeah, he's a piece of shit. But anyways,
And
continue
going
on.
back to season 1 of Dark Side of the Ring, the murder of Bruiser Brody, Abdullah the Butcher sat there on fucking camera and lied.
Because he's probably either afraid for his life or he probably knew more than what he knew. But we'll get to that another time.
We'll cover Dark Side of the Ring will become a mainstay thing for us. We will discuss this more at greater length at another time.
Yeah,
but if you
probably
can
not
pull up
every
a picture
podcast,
of,
but every once in a while, we'll definitely bring it up.
if you could pull up a picture of Abdullah,
I'm working on that right now. I'm pulling a picture of him now. You can see his head. Like, it's ridiculous.
He's got grooves, literal grooves in his forehead from overuse of blading.
Yeah, it is insane.
But mind you, Abdullah the Butcher didn't just blade. The matches that Abdullah had with Brody, you know, Abby the Butcher was known for being the king of foreign objects. The ref would pat him down at the start of pulls out a fucking fork. He pulls out, a knife. The big thing he was known for was the fork. He would stab people in the fucking forehead with the fork.
All right, there's a picture of him right there. So you can see his head.
It hasn't adjusted yet.
I'm gonna kind of zoom in on his head a little bit so you guys can see his head. Like, you can see his top of his effing head. Like,
You're right. It's not up yet.
I know. I'm zooming in on it.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
I had to zoom in on it, so you can see the top of his head, and it's holy. It's like one of those holy shit moments. Like, watching him talk on that thing is just massive gouges in his head.
Another one. Pull up Devon.
Well, no, that will take too much time. So, but let's get back on track here with this.
So yeah, that's a current picture of Abdullah the Butcher. As you can see, like I said, there are literal grooves in his head.
Yeah. So I'll take that down. We get back to the story at hand. So after the coke binges and stuff like that, apparently there's one incident in a hotel room where he was chasing Nancy around the hotel room. She called her sister saying he's after me. The cops got called, and they arrested Jimmy Snuka. It was only after
No charges were filed.
Yeah, only after Nancy went and filed an affidavit and said, "Hey, I'm not filing charges. It was a misunderstanding." Blah blah blah. Then, like a little while later, she dies. There's a whole incident where there's a whole lot of like jumble of what actually happened, but because Jimmy can't keep his record straight about it.
One of the biggest things that they talked about, Snuka kept changing his story. Yeah. It was always something different, and it was always like if you weren't paying attention, you wouldn't notice details changing. It went from they were wrestling in the hotel room to she slipped to she slipped on the road because she had to stop and go to the bathroom on the way here.
Yes, and then that was disputed by the one that her falling was disputed by the Tonga kid who he used to drive with.
Yeah, who was in the car, mind you. They were traveling to
Allentown,
Pennsylvania. I don't remember from where. I just know I remember the big thing was they were going to Allentown. It was a big venue for WWF at the time. This was a constant stop on their road, on their journeys, was coming to Allentown. And, they said you could walk down the street and see Andre the Giant in a restaurant. You could bump into Hulk Hogan and picking up his dry cleaning or something. This was a wrestling town.
Yeah. And Allentown had a lot of money put in it because of that. They were making a lot of money. That town was hopping because of that. Mind you, I've been to Allentown, Pennsylvania. I don't know if anyone's here from Pennsylvania.
You're cutting out, brother.
No, sorry. I've been to Allentown, Pennsylvania before on a road trip. And I'm sorry if I'm going to offend you. That place is a fucking shithole. I stayed there night in one of the hotels. It was horrible. Me and my really close friend. And, oh my God. So, mind you, this is 2015. The incident happened in 1983, I think.
Yeah.
So it does really make you wonder where the threshold of entertainment value is. It really does. But the whole story in general, especially when people are speculating that Vince McMahon paid off the cops because,
So we'll hold off on. We're going to get to that in a second. Because, as we said, Snuka's story kept changing. And Snuka told the cops that it was just him and Nancy. And this fact has been disputed by Sam Fatu, who was known then as Tonga Kid. And for those of you who know, yes, Sam Fatu is part of the Fatu family, family. He was related to Afa and Sika, the Wild Samoans. And Sam Fatu said, no, it wasn't just Nancy and Jimmy in the car. I rode with them to Allentown. So Jimmy's whole story of, we stopped on the way to Allentown because she had to go to the bathroom. It was raining. She slipped and fell and hit her head. Doesn't hold up.
No, so, which makes you wonder. Did he kill her? Was it an accident? We don't really know that part. I mean, she definitely died, but the fact he keeps changing his story makes you feel like he did kill her, and that's where we're gonna kind of go to that point where at some point Vince McMahon comes by and he's talking with the cops, and the next thing you know, he's not being charged with the murder or anything like that. And the cops, the entire thing was
the way the story was told. The way the story is told is, they interviewed the chief of police from that time, and I'm kind of scratching my head wondering how the fuck did this guy ever become a cop?
Yeah.
Because the autopsy report from the coroner stated, in conclusion, I feel this should be investigated as a homicide, proven otherwise.
Yeah, but then the cops did not view it as a homicide, which is ridiculous. They even claimed that they went to the scene where she fell, too, I think, at one point. I could be wrong. They did claim that they brought him to there. Or they didn't have time to bring him there. Something stupid like that.
There was, claim of he was going to show them where she supposedly fell. And the autopsy report, the coroner said there were no signs of dirt or loose gravel or anything to indicate a fall outdoors.
Yeah.
So the story went that, absolutely ace. But the story went, that Vince McMahon, well, I should clarify here, because Vince Jr., for those of you who, the person you would know as Vince McMahon. And he absolutely hates being called Junior. But he is Vincent Kennedy McMahon Jr. And Junior shows up with a fucking briefcase to the police station. Walks into the police station, and about 10 minutes later walks out, turns to Snuka and says, we're stop.
Yeah, pretty much walks in, this is all set. And it's weird because it makes you feel like he paid them off, which he probably did. I mean, who
all right,
knows?
guys.
I wouldn't be surprised if he did, because 83 was the height of Snuka's pop. This was when Snuka was one of Vince's biggest draws.
All right, guys.
He was the cash cow.
I'm going to head out.
Okay.
Talk to you guys later. Thank you for the stream.
Hey, Sprinkles, where can we find you on Amino?
My username, I'm mainly on the DC Entertainment Amino. Sometimes I'm on DC Universe. On DC Entertainment Amino, I'm Batman Beyond. And on the DCE, I'm known as Alcoholic. Fitting name. So, I'll catch you guys all later.
Take it easy, Sprinkles. And yes, Ace, it was a bad mix.
Yes. So, we'll end off this part of the podcast, and then we'll go to the end. So, the spec, eventually, you have to watch the documentary, but they get to a point where they actually are able to charge Jimmy Snuka. But the problem was that
they actually brought charges against Jimmy because the case was opened 30 years later.
Yep.
I want to say it was 30 years later.
It was
due to someone writing an article about it.
Yeah,
and looking into it and Snuka was arrested. He was charged, and it was brought before a grand jury. But Snuka was found incompetent to stand trial. He was late-stage dementia and cancer.
He was so far into his cancer that he had
He
brain
died
tumors.
3 days after the case was
10
thrown out.
days after. 10 days after. He died 10 days after the case was thrown out. He was that far into his disease. And which sucks because even the guy on there said it doesn't give closure. It didn't give Jimmy a chance to state his case. It didn't give the family closure either to state theirs. So it sucks because there's going to remain an unsolved mystery.
There was no closure on any side.
Overall, in the court side, this is an unsolved mystery and no closure for everybody involved, which was horrible, which is absolutely horrible. For this family to go through, they lose a daughter, and then on top of it, too, they can't get closure for that. And for Jimmy's family, too, to feel like, did he actually kill this girl? His wife was stayed with him through the entire thing, too. Like, even after Nancy died, his wife still stayed with him. Which
And
kind of makes you wonder about her.
Another thing I feel I should touch on, Snuka published his autobiography. And in his autobiography, he painted Nancy in a different He wrote about Nancy as this person who came into his life and just completely destroyed his life.
Yeah. So it really makes you wonder, like, all right, devil's advocate here, it really makes you wonder, did she actually ruin his life, or did he ruin her life? Or was it a combination of both? Or is he lying through his teeth? Is the family just trying to paint her as a perfect girl? Turns out she was probably a coke-whore. Who knows? No one really knows besides Jimmy and her.
Because, again, there was no closure.
Exactly. And no one really knows because Jimmy was, if you watch the documentary, Jimmy was a very private person. And Nancy and him were constantly together, but there was allegations of abuse, but you mainly only hear that from her family, too. Same aspect, too. So, like, you don't really hear any police, well, I think they actually did pull up the police report from the abuse incident, so there is definitely evidence of abuse. But you don't really hear, too much from Jimmy's family side, only a little bit. But mind you, too, he was cheating on his family, and his wife, and his kids, with his girl, too,
Yeah.
So same fact, you don't really get to really get the ending of it. There's no closure to this at all, which a lot of these
There's no closure, there's no conclusion to this whole...
No, there's nothing. So, all right. Well,
still leaving us scratching our heads almost 40 years later.
Exactly. And which is really sad. And it's you really sit there and you think about for the family in general, like, what they've had to go through these last 30 years and still not get closure. So, it's sad. Anyways, so this year too, they're doing the Owen Hart as well. The next one is going to be the assassination of, what was his name again?
Dino Bravo,
which would be another good one too. Definitely a good series to watch. It's on Vice. As you can see in the picture I have posted up there, it's on Vice. I watch it through YouTube, through other means. Definitely something you definitely watch, definitely get into. Even if you're not into wrestling, just a good murder mystery, something to do during quarantine. I think that we have one last topic for the day. It's just pretty much our outro, I believe, right?
Yeah, this pretty much wraps up our first edition.
Yeah, pretty much for the most part.
Wraps up our first edition of the Future Gadget Labs podcast. Like what us a follow. Check us out on, feel free to join our Discord.
I will post that one more time.
Yep. Zach's been graciously putting that together.
Zen and Leroy are working hard behind the scenes to try and make this all work. I was elected to be the host because I tend to be a slightly better spoken one of the group.
Yeah. I use fuck as an adjective, so it's
You're not the only one, so don't give me that bullshit.
Yeah.
I can just make things sound a little nicer.
So, I will
grant you, I'm one of the most foul sons of bitches you'll ever fucking meet. But I can also make it sound good.
So, just to kind of end off the podcast in general, we are trying to do these things either weekly or bi-weekly. It really all depends on, like, what people
Availability.
demand. Yeah, the availability for us and for the availability of people who actually want to watch this. And if you guys want to watch it, subscribe to our Discord. Subscribe to my Twitch channel, please. It's Uncle Leroy 666. We will eventually make our own Twitch channel. Just right now, I think the best thing is to go on mine for right now, because I am running this whole thing behind the scenes, and Zach's helping out. Zach's our PR, well, Zen's our PR manager right now, and I'm our tech guy. So you can find me on Twitch, like you watch right now, Uncle Leroy 666. I stream not every day, but I try to stream
Occasional.
twice a week. I stream Persona 5 Royal a lot. Final Fantasy 7 Remake. When I get back, I'll stream that. I'll stream Battlefield 5 every once in a while. Not too often. What else do I stream? I'm doing a series called Uncle Leroy Plays, which I'll be picking back up next week. I've kind of skipped this week. I try out a new game, have a few drinks while playing it, and get my perspective on the game. If you want to check on my recent Twitch videos, I did believe the game was called Poltergeist, a pixelated horror. I did that one recently. If you guys want to check it out, that'd be fantastic. Give me some likes, give me some follows. Also, I have a YouTube channel, Uncle Leroy Plays. So come check me out on there. Zen, can you give us some info about you, buddy?
All right, so I Twitch stream once in a while, not consistently, especially right now. Circumstance, if you want to go and hit that follow button, click my name, you'll find it there. Obviously, I've been the guy that's been cramming down your throats, Discord. By the way, join that Discord. You could also tag me to join my personal Discord. It's just a chill place to talk, communicate with people, play games, etc., all that kind of crap. But that's about it. That's all I got.
Alex, do
And
you have anything new up yet?
no, like I said, I'm mainly the host at the moment. My duties consist of, running the podcast when we're dealing this, and I'm also the sounding board for a lot of ideas.
Yes. So if you guys have ideas and you
I'm
guys
the
want to see
guy
something,
that I'm the guy that someone sits there and goes, "Hey, I think this is a good idea. Who can I talk?" Because I'm kind of stuck sitting on my fucking hands at the moment. I'm the one ever calls. It's like, "Hey, I got this great idea." So that's kind of my role for the moment. I might eventually start streaming on Twitch. I don't.
so
And
if you
for
guys
those
have,
of you
oops, sorry,
who
continue.
recognize our logo, bravo. You are truly a cultured weeb. For those of you who do not, I highly, highly, highly cannot recommend this enough. Go watch Steins Gate, you'll understand.
Probably one of the best animes to come out in the last 10 years, at least 10, 15 years. If you guys look at right now, I have a mashup of two of my favorite animes of all time popped up on the screen. This will be our outro from now on. But, so if you guys have any ideas, you want to see future podcasts, or challenges you'd like to see us do, we all have restrictions, but we can pretty much do most stuff. Obviously, money's always a restriction, especially during these times. Feel free to hit us up on our Discord. We've the private message one of us on there. Our nicknames in the podcast are our names on there, I believe, still. So just hit us up on there and or hit me up on Twitch or anywhere else if you have more ideas for future podcasts. We will try to maybe do it once a week. We'll eventually make a Facebook page, I think, for our little group here and just try to get more PR going with the help of Zen and myself and our shameless promoter, Lobo, who's been promoting us on Facebook.
Yep.
And obviously Sprinkles, who had to leave, but he Sprinkles. So, yep.
He sprinkles and he dipped already.
Yeah, he had to though. So follow him on me now. Follow me on Twitch and YouTube and follow Zach. And thank you guys very much for watching. I appreciate it. We had a whole ton of views today. We're on 7 viewers right now. We had a total of 10 at one time. And 12, actually only a total of 12 at one time, sorry, viewers. Thank you guys all so much for listening, watching, and commenting. We really appreciate that. anything, any input you can give us for the show would be great. Right now, we're kind of running on cheap equipment because we want to see what this goes. I know mics are cutting out, echoes are happening, but it's going to happen when you have shitty equipment. So we can't afford new equipment yet.
We're just kind of winging it with the basic shit we've got.
Yeah. So if you guys have any suggestions, feel free to hit us up. Feel free to say whatever. So thank you very much for listening, and that's really it. Thank you all for watching, or listening, rather.
Thank you all for joining us for our first edition of the Future Gadget Lab podcast. It's been wonderful having you. We'll catch you next time.